And I think one other thing that I would like to mention is that we have had the launch of a soft landing facility in The Hague on cybersecurity, because in this world where geoeconomics or geopolitics is basically changing by the minute, unfortunately, I would say, cybersecurity is getting more and more important for every one of us. So we have also started a cooperation with India in The Hague Security Delta, and 5 of the companies are trying to, Indian companies are trying to base there and to work together on cybersecurity as a very important aspect of the collaboration in the startup and innovation field. I think I'll leave it to that here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bernard, for these insightful insights. I think good to know about the examples of companies in Hyderabad, of companies in the Dutch ecosystem who have expanded. With that, I think we've learned how important it is for these partnerships to foster. But what we want to do is dig a little deeper. And with that, Excellency, I come back to you again, to understand if you could shed some light on the key sectors that are driving the startup growth in Finland today. And how which sectors an Indian entrepreneur would find helpful to expand to the market there?
Yeah, thanks. I think both countries really have strong startup ecosystems, and actually they complement each other. For example, in our expertise in deep tech, artificial intelligence and sustainable solutions align very well with India's strength in scale, software and digital transformation. And talking about Finland's startup growth, I think key sectors include, for example, quantum computing, health, energy, food tech, immersive, games, artificial intelligence, data analytics, defense and dual use, as well as new materials. And although we are a small country of only about 5.5 million people, we are home to over 10 unicorns, such as
This is Dr. Kishan Guram, a PhD chemistry. I'm the founder and managing director of Shravati AI and Shravati Advanced Process Technologies. We are the first company in India doing artificial intelligence-based drug discovery. We really focused on oncology, cancer, which is a major one. In the last 5 years, we are able to come up with entire drug discovery in a very shortest possible time. In $1 million, you can discover the drug. Once upon a time, the time required is 12 to 15 years. Money it takes is $2 billion plus, and chance of success is very low. All three, we are able to reduce at least 100-fold increase, and that's where, with the proven record, we have now 8 drugs in the pipeline from the Shravati AI. The second one we do, once you discover the drug, you also need to develop the drug. We are the first company in the world to come up with developing the AI models in the chemistry lab. Means synthetic chemists, whatever they do in the lab, we are able to reproduce in the AI based in the computer in a days and hours time. So this reduces the R&D time by 75% minimum for any new complex molecules. Then the last one, we also need to scale up. So we have discovered a new microreactors which will transform the chemical industry, whether it's pharma, whether agrochemicals or personal care. And we are able to come up with very small microreactors, which is 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet, which will give you 1 ton per day production. And here we are able to do every difficult chemistry like a fluorine, chlorine, all the chemistries, exothermic reactions very, very safely. And this is the breakthrough transformation for chemical industry. And I'm hoping that more and more industries adopts. Other than today, last 5 years plus, we have developed all the capabilities. We have implemented 5 plants in India, and we are still working with many customers, both pharma and agro and personal care field. Thank you for your time.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are all set for our next panel discussion. startup-driven economic transformation, building trillion-dollar digital economy. Ladies and gentlemen, हमारे साथ we're going to have on stage a moderator, Ms. Shweta Rajpal Kohli, President and CEO, Startup Policy Forum. Please give a big hand for her, everyone.
Thank you so much. I know we had a power-packed panel before that, and star founders. So from star founders to stars in the government ecosystem, it's my honor and privilege to be moderating this session. How can startups power a trillion-dollar digital economy? And you know why I'm super excited about this session? I think two reasons. It is the only Sarkari panel, as we can call it. So, you know, if you want to know what the Sarkar is thinking, what the government's thinking, and how the government's enabling startups, this is the session where you're going to hear it all. And there's one other special reason why I'm excited about moderating this session, because for once, you know, we have diversity of a different kind. So thank you, Abhishek Singh ji, for being the diversity candidate this time on the panel. And I'm super, I would say, proud to have two women leaders here. You know, we've got Aarti Bhatnagar, Special Secretary in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And in fact, she has got multiple portfolios. So simply a powerhouse in the Indian government and is driving so many initiatives. Manmeet Nanda, Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and someone I've had the pleasure of working very closely in her earlier avatar of dealing with startups at DPIIT and holding multiple portfolios, and she's someone who understands this ecosystem very well. And I would say, in some ways, the person sitting next to me is the man of the moment for India. Abhishek Singh, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, METI. But more importantly, he's holding the dual charge as the CEO of India AI Mission. And of course, who doesn't want to know what's going on in AI right now and what's going on as far as India and AI is concerned. So let me start by actually getting him to answer exactly that. Mr. Singh, we know that the world is watching India right now on AI. There is almost palpable excitement and energy about India moving forward in the AI ecosystem. Share with us everything that the government's doing to enable this, and what is it that the audience sitting here in the room should watch out for?
See, like, thank you for having me here. And in fact, as you rightly said, the world is looking at India. The world is looking at India providing leadership in the AI story that is unfolding. We have shown what digital public infrastructure can do, and there's a lot of expectations, especially with the talent that we have in the digital space. In fact, if you look at the Stanford AI Index, it rates India as the #1 in AI skill penetration. If you look at the number of GitHub AI projects, we contribute 24% of the projects on GitHub, the projects contributed by Indians. So there is a lot of expectations. So similar to ensure that we are able to reach their potential, because currently we are much behind US and China when it comes to building AI models or AI applications. So the government did examine what were the gaps in our AI story, and it was felt that we need to provide compute infrastructure, we need to provide data sets, we need to provide funding for foundational model, we need to provide funding for startups who are working in this field, because very often AI and deep tech requires patient capital. It's not that you invest X and you get a return in 2 to 3 years. Sometimes you have to wait for long. So under that, India AI Mission was conceptualized, a funding of almost $1.2 billion, 10,372 crores to be precise, which seeks to provide compute. We have already empaneled 10 service providers, 14,000 GPUs are available at a very low cost, 115 rupees per GPU per hour, and over and above this, government provides 40% support. So the net cost for GPUs for a startup is less than $1, 67 rupees per GPU per hour, which ensures that entrepreneurs, startups, researchers working on AI models and applications can access that. We set up a platform called AI Kosh, which is providing data sets, tools and models. More than 400 data sets are available there, and ultimately data sets is something that you require along with talent and compute to build AI applications. We also publish a call for proposals of foundation models, because there is a lot of expectations of everyone that China has come with DeepSeek. When will India come up with foundation models? So we have got almost 200 proposals for building India foundation models. The first set of proposals is likely to be finalized, that will be funded by the government within the next 2 weeks. And we hope that these companies will be able to work on, with the support provided, to build a foundation model that is trained on India dataset very soon. We also have other pillars in the India AI mission, where we are providing support for skilling, we are providing fellowships for undergrad students or master's students, and for research scholars. We are setting up a fund of funds and working with accelerators, incubators to provide funding support to startups. We are also building tools for safe and trusted AI. Then application development is again another focus area, wherein we did publish an innovation challenge across 5 themes of agriculture, healthcare, learning disabilities, governance and climate change, and we got 900 applications, out of which 30 were selected and given the first stage of about 25 lakhs by Honorable Minister on 6th of March, and more challenges coming in. So government is trying to provide support at all levels for datasets, for compute, for foundation model, for applications, for building safe and trusted AI, to ensure that our startups, our researchers come up to the expectations and build something that we can truly call Indian and state of the art.
Thank you. That's a lot happening, and clearly you're driving all of it, and we know the next few months are going to be super exciting. And I think what most people say is that India may get it late, but it gets it right. And I think that's the moment everyone's waiting for. And even though we may not see an immediate LLM model coming up, but what we're definitely seeing is vast innovation when it comes to AI use cases and adoption of AI, and something that I can vouch for. There's the Startup Policy Forum. We have so many of the high growth startups as our members, and each day we're seeing AI adoption at a transformative pace. But I think this is also a moment to pause and reflect on the kind of journey of startups we've seen so far. And while we talk about the gaps, as you've rightly identified, and policymakers like you ensuring that we stay ahead of the curve and we're able to plug those gaps, let's first acknowledge the progress. And Aarti ma'am, I'd like you to come in here, because just the sheer explosion of the Indian startup ecosystem, just the fact that we have come in the last 9 years, ever since Prime Minister Modi announced Startup India as a major flagship initiative, a major plank, just the fact that we've seen so much innovation, so much progress, so much success of the startup ecosystem. Could you share with us where India stands today in that startup journey?
So I think after the very sterling kind of a panel that we had before us, the speakers who were actually the stalwarts of the startup ecosystem, I think now getting the kind of a Sarkari point of view of what we've been able to do till now in this 9 years of journey, when we started in 2016, I think there are some statistics which should be of interest to all of you. Now we've become the 3rd largest startup unicorn nation in the world. There are 118 unicorns with a total valuation of over 354 billion plus USD. And the unicorns who have made the largest impact is from a 13 times increase, that is from 8 in 2015 to 118 in 2025. So I think this is something that we are very proud of having, this kind of ecosystem which has now come up in the country. So these are the things which I wanted to share with you all, that some more statistics I think which should be of interest is that we've issued 1,64,554 startup certificates, and these have created jobs of 18 lakh plus. The average number of employees per startup is somewhere 11, and the number of states who have a startup policy, it started as 4 in 2016, and now we have 31 states and UTs who have a dedicated startup policy. So this is the kind of achievement that we've got. More than that, I think there is something that we need to understand, that while we may have certain schemes which were giving the right nudge to through developing a startup system, whether it was our startup seed fund or it was our fund of funds scheme, the very important thing is that the environment was created where the startups were able to flourish. But I think we need to go further, because everything, it's a matter of relativity. As they say, the relativity principle is very important. So it's very important also to look at what the other countries have done and where are we in this entire sector, in this entire ecosystem. So that is where we are not resting on our laurels. We in the government have been working on further schemes. So we have, which was just announced in this budget for this financial year, we have a fund of fund 2.0, where another 10,000 crores have been given, which will be able to fund startups, through the AIFs and other means, other venture capitalists and all. The initial 10,000 tranche which was given earlier, 5 years back, has completely been utilized, and now we've got another infusion of capital. So these are some of the things which I thought I must share with you all. And as far as I just wanted to take another few seconds to talk about the Startup Mahakumbh, where we are sitting today. It's the second day. And, I'm really loving this kind of vibrancy and the enthusiasm and the number of footfalls which I'm seeing, which is exponentially grown from last year when we had the first edition. So I think that is a very, very happy situation. And I think it is a time for collaboration, for learning, for, showcasing what you have, and also trying to adopt whatever you've learned so that we can, further go on to the next stage.
All right, Manmeet Nanda, ma'am, you've seen this ecosystem very, very closely in your previous roles, and now you're also driving social inclusion in many ways. I'd like to pose twin questions to you. First, your understanding of the ecosystem and the fact that we have so-called 100+ unicorns, but we're now talking about the next wave of innovation, Startup India 2.0 in some ways, and the fact that now we need to ensure that we're seeing innovation across deep tech, across AI, across many other sectors. What do you think the government can do to enable this? And two, we also want this startup magic to spread well beyond the metros and the tier 1 cities. So how do we take it to tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and especially to something that is within your mandate, the social inclusion part, and I would say empowerment. If you could shed light on how you're thinking about that.
Thank you, Shweta, and thank you for having me here. Feels great to be part of the community that is so vibrant, so young, energetic, and always throwing great challenges. Yes, that's true. We have come a long way, but there's so much more to do. And transforming India into the 1 trillion economy that we want to be, the answer lies in two major ecosystems. That is one, the startups that we all are here sitting and being a part of and being proud of, the unicorns, and of course the MSMEs. They are the backbone of this country. And MSMEs in a very basic way are or have been the true startups of the Indian economy so far. We need to carry what Aarti ma'am mentioned and what Sir mentioned, carry those reforms further. We need to go beyond the metro cities, and we have been, but encouraging tier 2, tier 3 startups more. And inclusion should be a matter of design and not chance like we have on the stage today. Inclusion, as I see, like I'm looking at a different sector now, people with disabilities. There are so many startups that are doing such commendable work to ease and to progress and transform the lives of people with disabilities. I am shocked to see that there are devices available in the market where a completely vision impaired person has a keyboard that can convert what is on text on the screen into braille, helps him read that, not audio, but helps him read that in braille. He can type back on that keyboard onto the desktop and gets on to an English language that most of us understand. So reform journey needs to continue. The government, industry, academia relationship needs to be greatly strengthened. What we have shown in our startups by changing the way we eat, changing the way we buy things or we sell things, it's what India has shown to the world. I mean, we are a great model for everyone, and I think this needs to continue. Further reforms by the government, continuation of the fund of fund schemes, the startup, the seed incubations startup fund, big proponent of that, because our startups need the hand-holding. AI is the future, it's the present, is the future. Every day I think I will try and figure out greater, things that I can learn on Grok. Perplexity, AI throws me another ball. So I need help, sir, on teaching government bureaucrats like us also to pick up our rate of learning for AI and what the startup world can throw on to us. So
well, that's an interesting one, Abhishek sir, now, and I think I'd like you to respond to what Manmeet ma'am said.
Yes, see, like I fully agree. Of course, we all agree that AI is the in thing, and we all are using it, playing with it. But AI goes beyond just writing poems or creating content by using or Ghibli images has become popular on ChatGPT.
And controversial.
No, but in fact, OpenAI has been like since last 2-3 days they have been tweeting about the India is the place, but that's because they are seeing it as a market. But we need to go beyond that by just using it for creating funny things or cartoons or poems or jokes. We need to realize that AI can transform things, as Manmeet mentioned. We did this innovation challenge for learning disabilities, and the kind of solutions that we got, which can help detect autism, which can help solve problems for dyslexia, which can solve problems for dyscalculia, are amazing. Helping people, blind people to see, navigate, helping deaf and dumb to hearing impaired people to communicate better. So there are multiple tools. AI is transforming agriculture. AI is transforming healthcare. So what we have seen is that, and what we are hearing and what we expect is that India will come up with a voice-based LLM, which will ensure that with voice you will be able to seek information services. And in India, that will empower the 500 million people who are not connected to the internet there. So the potential of AI is huge, but at the same time, what she mentioned towards the end, that how do we build in capacities within the government and outside? How do we ensure that we are able to use these tools for improving productivity at all levels, and more so in government? So like I got Karamyogi platform has got, in fact, 2 of their team members, I see them in the audience here also today. So it has got a lot of courses on emerging tech, on AI, on ChatGPT, on Gemini, for using AI in healthcare, on various domains. And happy to say that those courses are one of the most consumed courses on the platform. So there is an effort within the government to improve capacities. There is an effort within the industry to use AI to build applications. What we need is to scale up many of these applications. They should not just remain pilots or proof of concepts. How we can take them to logical end and ensure that more and more people benefit from them. That's the challenge that we as civil servants have, to work along with startups to make that happen.
All right, I know we just have the last 5 minutes, and I think I want to go back to the topic, which is how can startups power $1 trillion digital economy? And for startups to power the $1 trillion digital economy, we need enabling policies and regulations that would allow that. So let's talk about 2030 and talk about that one policy change. And it doesn't have to be in your ministry, it doesn't have to be something that you are driving, but any one of the 3 of you can start, and I'd love to get from all 3 of you that one policy change that you think can fast track this process and take India onto that path of $1 trillion digital economy. Anything that you'd all like to talk about?
Should I go in first? I was taken on a tour to South Korea with my startup team. And what we've not done is we've not capitalized on our high network individuals in our country. There are about maybe 3 lakh plus. They are sitting over assets of 1 million plus. We need to tap those, give them incentives. Also to show them our trust, that we can be trusted as a startup ecosystem, be transparent. I also have read very recently that the startups in the US, they don't rely on the IPO and the basic stock exchanges. So that is where we need to do. And that, I think, Aarti ma'am, if we try and build a venture capital within the government, with our locking our arms and hands with the private sector, and I think given a sweat equity, do some ratings for startups who've performed brilliantly on the stock exchange, increase the trust aspect of it, I think we will be able to bridge that gap of capital, because I think what our startups need is capital. And there are a lot of corporate fundings also that can come in, and I think that is an aspect that we need to look up to. So I think this is one way forward, and I would love the DPIIT to take up this and to create a venture capital fund of their own and to take this forward.
So, well, thanks for those thoughts, Manmeet, but let me tell you one thing, that in our second version of seed fund, very early seed fund, we are looking now to, in this 2.0 version, we are looking at a very different perspective, which you said, in fact, not very different in the sense we are adding a number of things to it. Because we have a very robust digital, system in the country. We have a very excellent one. So we need to build up on that. And for that, you see, ultimately what succeeds is the kind of sales and revenues and what you get it. So if government starts getting into it, I think the kind of nudge that we need to do from the government side is providing the right kind of platform, the right kind of funding. But the people who will be able to do it the best are the ones specialists in their business. So the venture capitalists, whether it's the AIFs, they would be able to appraise these schemes and the ideas which the startups have. I think they would let them do their job. That's what I feel very strongly. But where we need to come in is that, yes, that nudge, that you need to go into sectors, which we were talking earlier also about the social disability and these kind of sectors. We need to push them to go to those kind of ideas, support those ideas. Maybe even what Abhishek was mentioning about the AI part. Let's get that in as well. But let us go to these hinterland, those very backward sectors, areas of our country. Let's get their ideas onboarded. And what I would love to have in this, to change this whole thing, is to make it spread it to all the backward and to all those kind of, let's say slightly those aspirational districts as we have. Let's go there and let's provide them the funding through the, laid down these structures and already that we have. That's how I would look at it.
Thank you. All great ideas, and the last word goes to...
Yeah, if I have to think of one policy push, especially with regard to pushing up us on the value chain of the innovation and deep tech research, I will say augment our research funding many times over. Today we have our research funding is around 0.7% of the GDP compared to 3% or more in China and the US. We need to push that many times over. Of course, the 100,000 crore ANRF funding, the Anusandhan Research Foundation funding, is a great step in that direction. The 10,000 crore deep tech fund of funds is again another initiative. In AI we have 2,000 crores for startups. But what we need to do is to accelerate the pace at which we spend this money, and that would require coming up with systems in which decisions are easier to take, trust-based, and people are able to take bets on that. I would actually want several Y Combinators to come in. If we can strengthen the partnership between our academic institutions and startups. Like IIT Madras Research Park is one good example. But we need several such initiatives for a country of our size and potential. If we can have several such Y Combinators in which investments are driven at a very quick pace, the time taken for a startup to raise money in the valley is so much lesser compared to what it is in India. If we are able to create those systems, if we are able to create a system in which the government funds are co-invested along with VCs and investors, high net worth individuals, we will be unlocking a lot of value. So we need to think of creating those systems, and if we are able to bring in those policy changes, there is no reason that we will not be innovating as fast in deep tech and and other sectors as we are doing in other sectors. So that's what we need to work together to make that a reality.
So we have with us here three people who are the policy makers, who are the decision makers, who are probably scripting that next success story for Indian startup ecosystem. So I would say we are all, or everybody sitting in this room is looking up to all of you as policy makers and decision makers to be able to drive that change and continue to ensure that the Indian startup ecosystem continues to thrive. Thank you so much, Aarti Bhatnagar ma'am, Manmeet Nanda ma'am, and Abhishek Singh sir for being part of this panel. I know the time is up, but it's fascinating to hear how progressive our policymakers are. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.
It's our honor to have with us Mr. Kimmo Ladervirta, Ambassador of Finland. Can you please give a big hand for him, everyone? Sir, a very warm welcome to you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this session. Your Excellency, it is a pleasure to host you today for this session, and I'm glad that you could take out time. I understand that we are sitting between your lunch and this session, so we will make it as exciting as possible. And as you can see on the screen or the name, I'm here to add some diversity to this panel, which was earlier supposed to be moderated by my director, but due to some last-minute meeting, I'm here to moderate it instead. What we will do is, sir, we will start with a quick introduction, and then I would like to understand from your perspective about the innovation ecosystem. But here is it for everyone, right? We know that India is home to about 150,000 startups, and innovation today is not confined by geography alone. In fact, as we aim to create global champions in AI, green energy, digital health, deep tech, the need for cross-border partnership is at the highest right now. And I'm sure some of the startups out here today would want to expand their footprints in other countries. With that, I'm glad that today we are joined by none other than His Excellency himself, Kimmo Ladervirta, who has been the ambassador to Finland to India and previously Bangladesh, Bhutan, Maldives and Sri Lanka. We are so glad, sir, you're here with us today. Our discussion today will unfold organically around the opportunities, enablers, and future pathway for collaboration so that everyone out there can benefit. With that, sir, my first question to you is that Finland and India have a long-standing bilateral ties, and the startup space is incredibly vibrant, but also a little volatile. Could you highlight on some recent initiatives or success stories that reflect the growing collaboration in the innovation and entrepreneurship space?
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction and interesting starting question. I hope we also get the other panelists, because otherwise there's not going to be much discussion, I guess. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for the first question. And really, I think it's a fact that startups now play a pivotal role in the talent mobility ecosystem between our countries. Currently, both India and Finland share a unique conjunction of a dynamic startup landscape. And actually, Finland is home to over 4,000 startups. We also have a global platform called the Slush, for example, which is one of the world's leading startup events, attracting over 25,000 visitors annually. And for example, last year we had more than 30 Indian startups at Slush as part of 3 different delegations from Startup India, Kerala Startup Mission, and also from Tamil Nadu. And really, Indian startups have also participated in other Finnish accelerator programs, like the Slushed events here in India, for example, Sisu Launchpad in Helsinki capital region, Boost Turku, 90-day Fin program, Polar Bear Pitching, and Experience Tampere. And really, one of the nice things is that this year India had its first ever polar bear pitching event here in Delhi in January at our embassy, where the founders pitched while standing in icy cold pool of water following the Finnish tradition. And the winner, Managing Director Devan Chandrasekharan of Fuselage Innovations, later participated in the global event which was held in Oulu in Finland in February. So I believe that such collaborations do open doors for Indian entrepreneurs and professionals to explore new markets, access funding opportunities, and also benefit from Finland's supportive business environment. Thanks.
Thank you, Excellency. I really like the example that you shared of the startup taking the stage at the global world. With that, it is my pleasure to invite you, Bernard. He's the head of the Economic Department, Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in India. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you. So, Bernard, my next question is to you. The idea for here, for the audience is to learn about global innovation, about how cross-collaboration opportunities could be expanded. So with that, we do understand that India and Netherlands have an institutionalized innovation collaboration through our platform like the Startup Link. Based on your recent engagements, could you highlight one or two collaborations where the Dutch and the Indian startups have effectively co-created value?
This one? Yes. Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for your patience. And it's a pleasure to be here to share our insights with you. First of all, of course, we are very happy to collaborate with India. Our bilateral trade has increased tremendously over the past years, and innovation and startups have played a crucial role in this. And this is much more beyond than just trade. This is also about collaboration, about learning platforms, about exchanging information, about learning with and from each other, because there's a lot of very smart people in this country and in my country as well, so we combine that. And we have a few, institutional basics for that collaboration. We signed a couple of years ago around 23 memorandum of understanding. And these agreements cover critical areas such as healthcare, pharmaceuticals, sustainable food systems, water cooperation, key enabling technologies. In semicon, for example, we will sign an MOU as well. So this is also to give you an idea on how broad the cooperation is. And one of our Dutch health tech startups, which is called Eindhoven Robotics, Eindhoven is the city where the very well-known company Philips is from, received the prestigious METI G20 award during the G20 here in India, recognizing its contributions to medical technology and innovation. And this is also a field in which we seek more deep cooperation with India in the field of medtech. And the Netherlands was also invited as a special guest for the Startup 20 working group, also under the same G20 presidency. So this was also reinforcing the collaboration that we have. But more concretely and more interestingly in that sense, perhaps, is that Arikt International is a Dutch company that has a huge plant now in the south of India, in Hyderabad, and they are growing enormously. And this is also a very good example of how we try to attract over 300 engineers, Indian engineers most likely, to work in our company there in Hyderabad, which is also a wonderful idea to further develop the the exchange of information between the two countries. And we also have a visa startup facilitation system with resources as well. So we can also combine the two countries also physically, not online, but also offline by traveling to each other's countries in that sense. And I think one other thing that I would like to mention is that we have had the launch of a soft landing facility in The Hague on cybersecurity, because in this world where geoeconomics or geopolitics is basically changing by the minute, unfortunately, I would say, cybersecurity is getting more and more important for every one of us. So we have also started a cooperation with India in The Hague in the Hague security delta, and 5 of the companies are Indian companies are trying to base there and to work together on cybersecurity as a very important aspect of the collaboration in the startup and innovation field. I think I'll leave it to that here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bernard, for this insightful insights. I think good to know about the examples of companies in Hyderabad, of companies in the Dutch ecosystem who have expanded. With that, I think we've learned how important it is for these partnerships to foster. But what we want to do is dig a little deeper. And with that, Excellency, I come back to you again, to understand if you could shed some light on the key sectors that are driving the startup growth in Finland today. And how which sectors an Indian entrepreneur would find helpful to expand to the market there?
Yeah, thanks. I think both countries really have strong startup ecosystems, and actually they complement each other. For example, in our expertise in deep tech, artificial intelligence and sustainable solutions align very well with India's strength in scale, software and digital transformation. And talking about Finland's startup growth, I think key sectors include, for example, quantum computing, health, energy, food tech, immersive, games, artificial intelligence, data analytics, defense and dual use, as well as new materials. And although we are a small country of only about 5.5 million people, we are home to over 10 unicorns, such as, for example, Rovio, Supercell and Small Giant in gaming, Aura in health tech, Relex in logistics, IQM in quantum computing, and ICEYE in satellite technology. And I think these success stories really highlight the strength of our innovative spirit and our ability to scale groundbreaking ventures as well.
Perfect. Thank you, sir, for that perfect answer, and great to know about the sectors that are a good alignment with the Indian market here as well. With that, I come to you, Bernard, again. I want to understand that the Indian startups, if they do not want to just export, but if they really want to co-create, what they want and what they seek the opportunities are around R&D, pilot testing, innovation sandboxes. So if you could help us understand the Dutch mechanism of the industry linkages that would help the Indian startups here?
Yes, sure. As I also indicated previously, this is in our mutual benefit and interest to not only focus on trade, because trade is basically just a very small part of it. And it's much more beyond trade, and it's about exchanging technology, exchanging expertise, exchanging best practices. And this is what we're trying to do. First of all, as I mentioned also before, we have centers of institutional facilitators to help startups to come to the Netherlands. And why is this important? This is not only important for Indian startups that want to come to my country, but also for other innovative partners that would like to work with us in the Netherlands, because to keep up the level, and this also goes for Finland, we are both lucky enough to be in the top 10 of the most innovative countries in the world, but that is something that might not be forever the case. So to maintain this level and to maintain our quality of life, to maintain our security, our health as well, our economic position, our trade position, we should invest more in innovation. My country is just a little below what the European Union measure should be like, which is 3% of the GDP. We invest amongst 2.5%. So we should invest more in order to keep the life quality at the level that it is. Finland is doing a little bit better in that sense than we do. I'm not jealous. and in India, there's a lot of room as well to improve and to invest in investing more in innovation, both from the government and from the private sector. So this is also something that we have in common. This is important for everyone. And that's why we also have visa facilitation services with also resources for companies from here that would like to come to the Netherlands. And we have very interesting Indian startups as well. For example, one is called Urivaka Technologies. You know it, yeah? So this is a niche technology for shrimp farming, which has a Dutch mother company, and they have a kind of mechanical feeder on the water, which is called mother pond. It's not very romantic to have a plastic or a steel mother, but this machine really feeds the shrimp in the optimal way, and this helps as well to further contribute to also food security and health indirectly, or maybe directly, probably as well. And then there's also one other last thing that I will mention is that the Hague Center for Strategic Studies has also a cooperation with a few very smart people from this wonderful country here to build and construct further enhancements on capacity building in the field of cybersecurity, which is also very important, as I mentioned before. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. So we've learned about what the markets look like both in Finland and Netherlands. We've seen the sectors that are growing. We've heard some success stories, but I still have a minute left. And with your permission, I want to ask a surprise question towards the end. You know, over a decade of experience in the innovation and entrepreneurship field, I believe that an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur, no matter what geography he comes from or the country. And with such rich experience that we have between the two of you here, I just wanted one piece of advice that you would leave for an entrepreneur to succeed. We can start with Your Excellency first.
Well, it's a little bit difficult for me to advise entrepreneurs, but I really just want to emphasize that, for example, Finland and also the Netherlands really offer also Indian startups access to the European market, also world-class research institutions and business-friendly environment. So I think we also have developed entry programs, for example, Startup Permit program, which then promotes the mobility of Indian startups and entrepreneurs into the Finnish robust startup ecosystem. We have also public and private support mechanisms. On the public side, for example, we have an organization called Business Finland, which provides funding for startups. And on the private side, I already mentioned Slush. And like in the Netherlands, also Finnish cities offer these free of charge soft landing services and various programs we spoke about earlier. So I believe there are plenty of opportunities also for Indian startups to see what Finland and the Netherlands can offer for you as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Steve.
I'm looking at this screen which says time's up, so I will keep it short. I think basically a very human thing like curiosity and also understanding the regulatory framework, which is very important, of course, because it's the basis for any kind of establishment of a company or of doing business. And also getting to know the culture. This is all cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true. Otherwise it wouldn't be a cliche. So it's important to get to also know that in both our countries and in many other northern countries in Europe, we are very direct. It's very consensus-based. People are much less interested in academic titles than in countries like India, for example. So it's good to take these things into account. And the Dutch are very direct. Some people think it's rude, but on the other hand, what you see is what you get. So it's also an advantage. And I think it's the same for Finnish people, right? Yeah. That's about it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you, Bernard. I think the audience have really enjoyed the insights that have come up. And one thing is for sure that, innovation does not happen in isolation. It will thrive with the partnerships that we flourish here. So thank you for these insights. With that, we conclude the session for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Asta. Thank you so much for moderating the session for us. So a lot of people probably coming to me and asking me whether all the sessions are happening. Yes, absolutely, you're right. All the sessions are happening. We're on time. So if you have the flow, we are absolutely going with the flow. And we are ready for our next panel discussion. This is going to be about India's climate story and opportunities in green manufacturing ecosystem. moderated by Ms. Swapna Gupta, whose expertise in sustainability is widely recognized. Our panel features Mr. Mirik Gogri, Mr. Utkarsh Mishra, Ms. Juhi Joshi, and Mr. Karan Mola. They will outline opportunities in green manufacturing and the path to a sustainable future.
Thank you for everyone for joining us. Today we have a very, very interesting panel. One of the panelists is on his way and will soon join us. The panel really is sort of how do we have come so far as a country, but really what's ahead and how do we get there. I think it's very interesting that it's happening today because yesterday Honorable Minister did share that slide which talked about where India is and where India needs to get, and I think this panel is sort of will take pieces and parts of it and discuss how do we really get there. What I will do is to kick off the panel, maybe have each of the panelists introduce themselves for 30 seconds or so that you get to know who they are, what are they doing, and how relevant is their experience to this topic. I'm Swapna Gupta. I'm a partner at Avana Capital. Avana Capital is a large climate-focused early-stage fund in India. We invest very early, about pre-Series A, in early-stage climate companies, anywhere between 1 million to 5 million. Very thematic. Sectors of interest are anywhere from energy to mobility to supply chains, agri, food systems, whatever can really move the needle forward and get us to a sustainable future.
Hi, good afternoon all. I am Mirik Gogri. I wear two hats. I am a principal at Spectrum Impact. Spectrum Impact is a family office which deploys capital across grant, equity and debt, largely in the climate space. We come a bit early than Avana, so we have a lot of partnerships with them, and we are building the ecosystem across various research and technology spaces focused on climate. The other hat that I wear is of RT Industries, which is a publicly listed company in the chemical manufacturing space, where I lead corporate strategy. So there is a understanding of what it takes for large-scale incumbents in this green transition.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Juhi Joshi from Climate Collective Foundation. We are an ecosystem builder for early stage climate tech startups. We help to support startups through market accelerators, helping them scale and reach markets. We also help with funding, access to different kinds of funding across startup stages, and as well as really help startups through a lot of other value added services that are needed to build startups and scale startups in the space. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Karan Mola. I help lead investments at B Capital. We are a global fund across both India, Southeast Asia and the US. We invest both. We have different funds for venture and growth. We also have a separate fund for climate. So we invest across life cycles of companies between 1 and 50 million. We've been investing in climate for the last 3 years. We have a separate team that does that. I help lead our climate investments in Asia as well. And one of the things that we work very closely is actually helping companies go global, especially from Asia. So one of the things that we're doing is working with early stage companies and growth companies, both in technology, healthcare and climate, to help them go outside of India. We have a strategic partnership with BCG, which is the Boston Consulting Group, to help do that. So we have a lot of corporate partners as well. And climate is one of our core areas of investments.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bharat Newalkar from Bharat Petroleum R&D Center based at Greater Noida. As we all know that we are looking into energy transition, and we are the main people, oil refiners. We are mainly hit by that. And at R&D Center, we are looking into various options and leading the area of energy transition at our corporation level. So I'm involved in green hydrogen, carbon capture utilization, and effectively on what are the options available to develop India-centric solutions for energy transition.
I'm Utkarsh and I lead the global innovation portfolio at Hero MotoCorp. We are the world's largest two-wheeler manufacturers, and it's my absolute pleasure to be here with the fellow panelists.
Thank you. And I think I'm very honored to be in a very, very, very diverse panel, from large corporate incumbent to public sector to a large capital player like B Capital, very early stage climate collective, and Mirik, who wears a very, very unique hat. As they say, necessity is the mother of invention. I think I also see crisis as the moment of innovation. I think we are in a moment of time where self-reliance, self-sustenance has become more important than ever, especially with this week of events and what has been happening in general across the world. I think we are at a moment where manufacturing is a key conversation, key topic across, but also there is this whole conversation, how does this manufacturing really become sustainable, and how do we really build in a way that we are creating a Viksit Bharat, but at the same time ensuring we meet our net zero goals. 2030, 2040, 2050, various milestones along the journey. How do we really achieve that while ensuring the growth is not compromised and we are becoming self-sustaining? A lot of problem statements need to optimize. We are a country, we are very good at optimization. I'm sure we'll optimize for all these variables. So let's start with you, Juhi, right? You come at the earliest stage where you're building this ecosystem. I think we have moved leaps and bounds from a services nation to where we are today. What are you seeing on the ground in terms of innovation, and which makes you bullish that in another 10 years we will be the manufacturing hub for the rest of the world?
So when it comes to deep tech and the manufacturing sector, I think we are seeing slow and steady growth. But just to put things in perspective, if you look at US, 7 to 10% of VC-backed startups are deep tech startups, right? Whereas in India, that number is about 2.5%. Right? The startups that we see in the deep tech space, we do see that the number of climate tech startups in the deep tech space is high. It's about 30%. So definitely there is interest in the climate tech arena when it comes to deep tech, right? But that being said, I think there are less than 10 unicorns in deep tech, right? Which says a lot about how much we need to move the needle towards the deep tech space, right? That's the landscape that we're talking about. When we talk about climate tech, I think, as you rightly said, Swapna, that climate crisis is very apparent and we know that we need solutions in the space. Now, what's stopping us in that is, I think, just more allocation to research within universities. We do have a good network now of universities that are focusing on research, but definitely infrastructure upgradation is required to work on those. We need greater collaborations and sustained collaborations between industries and academicians, because we know that there needs to be early on collaboration with what the industry needs so that they reach a particular scale to actually, get deployed as soon as they're out. There's a pathway there, right? That's also second. I think a lot of work needs to be done with professors to, work with the use cases that come out, and that's also another arena where we need to work. And then I think we need a lot more patient capital, because we see that deep tech requires a long, period where it has to be patient capital that stays with the innovator for long. And we're seeing that there are only very few investors that are invested into the deep tech space. So these are some of the challenges, and then we see that we need an enabling ecosystem that comes in, community events that help, a lot of value-added services at the right time that help in the entire deep tech journey. So that would be.
Thank you, Juhi. You are helping me moderate this panel very well, which means when you talk about capital, I have to put Karan on spot. So Karan, you represent B Capital, large sums of capital, you invest across sectors, but I think we are at a moment where climate tech has moved beyond, say, solar project financing projects which large infra guys were doing, to mobility, which was the theme for last 5-6 years, to newer innovations. Maybe it happens around circular economy, materials, energy storage, built environment. As you see the landscape changing, and as you think about capital allocation from your point of view, what are those areas where you see large opportunities where capital of B Capital and similar large investors will come to play, and how should startup ecosystem think about it?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. So I think till maybe 3-4 years back, I don't think we thought of climate-related investing as a core part of what we should be doing. And that changed for a few reasons, which can be, its own panel. So I won't get into that, but I think where we are today is, it is one of the 3 core areas that we look at, both in the US as well as in India, across stages. And
Please put your hands together for our visionary panelists, Mr. R.K. Chaudhary, Chairman and Managing Director, NHPC Limited. Mr. Ajit Kumar Mishra, Executive Director, Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India. Mr. Manoj Majokar, Chief Manager Contract, Indian Oil Corporation. And Mr. Anirudh Bishnoi, CGM at THDC. Welcome, gentlemen, and over to you, Tripti.
I hope it has been quite inspiring listening to our past panelists, and as a part of organizing committee of Startup Mahakumbh, I feel so proud. I don't know how many of you have been to Skytex Dubai. Any one of you? 2 people. I've been going there for last 2-3 years, and every time I used to go and I used to wonder, why not in India? You know why? Maximum participants are Indians, maximum exhibitors are Indian. We are making Dubai rich, although we should be here, right? So I'm so proud that we could build and bring such an amazing audience here, and we are very proud for you to be sitting all day and listening to us, but I'll make sure that this panel will really have a lot of takeaways for you. With this, I would really like to say, how many of you are aware about 25% mandatory procurement from MSME? How many of you? See, 4 of you are aware that only, at least minimum 25% of MSME procurement is mandatory for every public sector undertaking, right? How many are aware about 3% mandatory procurement out of that for women-owned businesses? How many women are there? Are you aware? You're not aware. Okay, so now you know that today panelists are of great value to you, because every one of you today will be highlighting what opportunity we bring to the table today. We have with us NHPC Chairman Chaudhary sir, over to you. I would like you to share about the opportunity we are talking about your procurement of last year, and if we even target 1% of it, that is what we are talking about right now. I hope you will be understanding that revenue brings you funding, right? Funding cannot bring you revenues. So I hope you're serious about this panel. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. NHPC, it is a premier Government of India organization. Basically, we are engaged in the development of renewable energy, mainly hydropower projects, pumped storage scheme, and solar and wind power. So, we are in the generating company, and we are bound by the government guidelines, and whatever our annual procurement is there, out of that 25%, that is at least 25%, is mandated to be procured from MSMEs. So out of 25%, now we are exceeding. Many years we are not able to meet, but now we are able to meet that. So, out of that 25%, 3% is reserved for women entrepreneur, and 4% is mandated for SC/ST entrepreneur. So, because we are very large hydropower utility, our last year annual procurement was 1200 crore, around 1200 crore. So out of that, that means 25%, so more than 300 crore, we did our procurement through MSME. This year our figure will be more, so it is around 1600 crore. So 1600 crore, you see at least 3% for women entrepreneur, that means 48 crore, 50 crore. what was happening that during the initial stage, we were defaulting because no woman entrepreneur, no SC/ST entrepreneur, no MSME entrepreneur were coming out. We are procuring the materials through GEM portal. So GEM portal, we are uploading our requirement, our procurement bid, and the MSME or the woman entrepreneur, SC/ST entrepreneur were not responding. Then we did many vendor interaction meet, many vendor interaction, especially women entrepreneur. So our head office is, NHPC's head office is in Faridabad. So we did our vendor meet in Faridabad, at different other places also. Now the response is very good. So otherwise, not meeting the criteria as fixed by the government is a default. And default, that means there will be less marks because our performance of the organization, that is outstanding performance or very good or good, it depends upon the fulfilling the government criteria. So on this account, there was a problem and we are not meeting the target. Since last 2 years, we are exceeding the target. So 25% is the minimum. That means it should not be less than 25%. It can be more than the 25% from MSME. So that is good opportunity for many of the small entrepreneur, mini, micro, small entrepreneur, and especially good opportunity for women entrepreneur. Since we are in the power generation, so we have 28, 29 operating power stations. So for maintenance of the power stations, we require lot of spares, lot of equipment. And for construction of, we are also in the field of construction of hydro projects. So for the construction of project also, we need lot of materials, chemicals, construction chemicals or construction materials during the construction of the project. So what figure I mentioned you, that is the pure procurement.
Okay, excluding the crude.
Yes, procurement of the construction project, it is beyond that.
Right.
So that is good opportunity for the enterprises.
Right,
Okay.
sir. So thank you so much, sir. I hope when sir was saying MSME again and again, small entrepreneurs, I hope you know that you all are eligible for that. With this, I would like to go to Mishra, sir, from the FCC. Again, a huge opportunity in procurement. So, you know, there is an opportunity, but there is also an additional opportunity of innovation and technology. Many of you are actually working in innovation and technology. Mishra sir, we were just talking about this example which you were giving. If you can share the kind of opportunity which are there with your organization, what all exemption can people expect when they're talking about startups, is what we would like to hear from you, sir. So it's on. It's on.
So, thank you, Tripti, and thank you, the organizers, for having this kind of Mahakumbh. We just concluded one Mahakumbh at Prayagraj, and it really looks like the same Mahakumbh. Yeah, so that shows the interest of the young generations in looking for the opportunities. I am working as Executive Director in Dedicated Freight Corridor. It's one of the public sector under Ministry of Railways. And in every government organization, what Chaudhary sir was talking about, the procurement policies regarding MSMEs and all those policies are applicable across all ministries, across all public sector. So those policies are applicable in me also. I don't want to repeat that. What I like to tell and add is every procuring entity has a responsibility to develop new vendors in their process. For that, they are authorized by Ministry of Finance, General Finance rules, and also the Ministry of Finance procurement rules to go for certain level of procurements where no eligibility criteria, no experience is required. That means any new vendor can come and after following certain procedural thing, he can be a successful bidder and get the work allotted to them. Work, consultancy or goods, whatsoever is the kind of procurement, he is there. So that's the generic guideline from the Government of India, applicable all across the ministry. Now the specific about the MSMEs and startups. About MSME, Chaudhary sir has already mentioned. Let me mention you about the startups. I have seen some of the procuring entities putting certain restrictions on its startups. Like they are asking for some experience or all. So if you are asking for experience from a startup, that's kind of dichotomy, isn't it? The startup is starting something, so from where he will bring the experience? It's like the young graduate coming out of college and then employer is asking, where is your experience certificate? So we are not that rigid, or but every procuring entity should be sensible towards that. And Government of India's guidelines, procurement guidelines are responsive to that. So to support startups, what the first criteria or first entry barrier which government has removed is to remove the bid security or any kind of security which a bidder is required to submit when he is submitting, say, tender forms. So no security, bid security is required for startups. So all he can do now on online procurements, the cost of tender form is also free. So all he has to do is he has to procure a certificate from DIPP that they are startups and just they can participate. So that's and if following the procedure, if their prices are matching with the other fellow startups or other bidders, they will be successful. So that's the normal conventional route of entering a startup into the government procurement system. Now, it's in this entire process, the innovation, the new thinking, all those things are missing. Why missing? Because what a startup did at this time is he responded to what was floated as a tender and he filled up his application. What is actually required, or what will be the actual or the high level role of a startup which they should play, is that they should come up with the new ideas, new innovation, and they should pitch for that towards those public procuring entities. Like we all are sitting who are from the services of the government or public sector. If you expect certain level of innovation from us, I think I'm not sure about my fellow panelists, but I'm sure about myself. My idea of innovation will be very belittled. I'm not sure of my idea. But you young people are buzzing with those ideas. But you will, as I said, you will respond only when whatever tender I have floated. So what your idea will do? For that, my suggestion would be that you identify whatever idea you have, whatever startup you have, and who are potential consumers of your idea. Then you approach different, say if you want to work in Ministry of Railways, they're like in my ministry, you approach to those public sector or public procuring entities into the railway sector, you float your ideas, you go and discuss with them, have a platform like this where you float your idea and try to convince that procuring entity to go for or advertise a procurement requirement suiting to your idea. Like for example, as I said, I am from railways. One of my job is to operate the train. For safe running of operation, I need to inspect the track and keep that in, say, safe condition. The inspection of railway tracks and assets, how it had been done, you know, since 1851 it has been done through manual means.
people walking on the tracks is doing the inspections.
And that also carrying a 30
kg weight on his
manually.
shoulder.
They are doing it. They need innovation.
To
Yeah.
visualize, and you can see the 50, 60, 50, 55 years old guy, what will be his eyesight? God knows how those things are running into the system. I mean, what a new startup can propose, or like we are working based on obviously the suggestions from the new generations like you, that we have drones. What drones we are using is just using the wedding photography or something, new concepts, or why not use those drones, those cameras in inspecting the things, sending those photographs to your server room, matching those with the potential or idealized fault or missed errors, and then you identify that which location, what kind of defects was there in the track. So we are working on this inspection methodology with a startup. So that is one area where you can win. And when we are working, that is, we are still working at a very small area. The Indian railway track is over 60,000 route kilometer. You just think if you are developing this idea, where your startup will go. Your startup will be much bigger than any corporate of the India.
Yeah.
So this is the opportunity. So again, if you have certain idea which you can work in, so hydropower, you approach to the department of Chaudhary sir, you pitch your idea to them and say that, sir, you float your requirement and then we will participate, we will help you out. So it's win-win situation for both. Like we are also getting new idea, we are getting those services, and you are getting your business. So that is the opportunity for you.
Thank you so much. I think it is very, very important to note what sir said, that he would or the department would not be able to think. If you have an idea, you can always mail me and we can share with relevant departments. Please, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's very easy. I'm very quick in my response. My team is also here. Shrishti, can you stand? If in case you feel, today we have DFCC, we have NHPC, we have THDC as well, and we have Indian Oil. So in case you feel there is some innovation which you are doing which can actually be implemented, you have some idea, please message us or reach out to my team. We will definitely ensure. That's why we are here today. With this, I would like to move to Anirudh sir from THDC. It is a subsidiary of NTPC. All of you must have heard about. Sir, we would like to understand from you the opportunity again, but as you were sharing, with you it's not just a direct opportunity, it's also indirect opportunity because you are into consultancy business. You advise so many projects. So there is not only with you, but also where you are advising. So we would like to have your ideas on this.
Thank you, ma'am. First, let me introduce myself and my organization with the audience. I am Chief General Manager in TAGC India Limited. It's a hydro specialist organization like NHPC. NHPC certainly is a very bigger in size. We are little small. Now, what I am really happy to see that the gathering from such a young generation I am seeing, it's really a matter of pleasure. Me and my organization have always been open to the new generation and the new ideas. Before going to the statistics, what we have been doing or what we have done, I would certainly start telling you certain areas of new innovations where you can come up in hydro sector. As sir was telling, in case of railways, there was a very orthodox method. Similarly, in case of hydro, it is also the same story. Many of the areas we are still doing with the very conventional methods. Now, as sir told that there is a this drone technology. So digital elevation model method with the lidar equipped, if it is with the lidar survey, you can reduce the time of surveying and this assessing the issues, all these within, to the level of 10% only. So department is always open, and these are, these are very small, investment options. You can come up with a very small investment, these lidar groups. You can come up with the explorations. Nowadays, more than 100 pump storage plants government is intending to construct. So you can come up for the consultancy works with the soil, exploration of the areas. They are very small, works which makes one a big lot. So in that case, I share with you that in case of, as DMRC and other departments are doing, they are doing now the precast lining, precast concreting. So earlier it was almost a saga that we used to transport the cement, we used to transport the sand, we used to transport something, and then we used to, construct in situ construction at the site for the hydro. Now you can, if the project is inside, from a railhead about 200 kilometer, you can construct a yard at the railhead only, and you can make the precast components that can be transported over there. So there are many ideas, because time is less. So if you come to me personally, it will take days.
Yes, so we will definitely take up more. I would like to now quickly, because we are short of time, so we would like to go to Manoj ji. Manoj ji is from Indian Oil. I think we've been working for last 7 years together to help women to achieve women-owned businesses target of 3%, and it has been a wonderful experience, because Manoj ji come forward and give us what are the opportunity, like sir has been speaking about, everyone is talking about. So with this, Manoj ji, if you can share few examples which are very very quick for people to get into, and what has been your experience, that would be really great. I would like to really share with you that we recently with Manoj ji helped a woman to grab an order of 12 crore. She is making drums. So they got an order for Indian Oil recently, just because of the guidance of Manoj ji. With this, I would like to hand over the mic to Manoj ji to share his views in the limited time.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. जितने मेरे यहाँ पे पार्टिसिपेंट्स बैठे हुए हैं, सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है कि आप इनोवेशन तभी दे पाएंगे जब आप उस इंडस्ट्री की इंफॉर्मेशन रखते हो. इंडियन ऑयल 1959 में प्रेजेंट शेप में जैसा चल रहा है वैसे 1959 में फॉर्म हुआ था. रिफाइनरीज डिवीजन में इंडियन ऑयल मथुरा रिफाइनरी डिवीजन में पोस्टेड हूँ, और मैं अपने एक्सपीरियंस ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि जैसे तो एक अभी डायरेक्टली ये मिला, और हमने काफी टेंडर निकाले जिसमें कि अपने टेंडर्स में हमारे टेंडर दो कैटेगरी के होते हैं. एक होता है क्रिटिकल एंड नॉन क्रिटिकल. नॉन क्रिटिकल टेंडर में स्टार्टअप्स को कोई एक्सपीरियंस की जरूरत नहीं है, ना ही उसको कोई टर्नओवर की जरूरत है, ना ही कोई एक्सपीरियंस की जरूरत है. इस पोस्टिंग के पहले, मथुरा की पोस्टिंग के पहले मैं डिगबोई रिफाइनरी में पोस्टेड था, इंडियन ऑयल डिगबोई इन डिब्रूगढ़. वहां पे हमने सेम इसी कैटेगरी में नॉन क्रिटिकल टेंडर में फ्लोट किया था, और उसमें स्टार्टअप्स ने पार्टिसिपेट किया विद DPIIT का सर्टिफिकेट, जो आप घर में बैठ के बना सकते हो, वो सर्टिफिकेट लगाया उन्होंने. उनको कोई एक्सपीरियंस की और किसी चीज की जरूरत नहीं थी, और उसी में बाकी लोगों से उन्होंने compete करके L1 फिलोसफी में L1 होके उनको वो ऑर्डर गया. दैट ऑर्डर वैल्यू वाज अराउंड 1 crore. उन्होंने पेवर ब्लॉक का एक ऑर्डर लिया था. सो इस टाइप के इंडियन ऑयल में जैसे एग्जेम्पशन की बात हुई स्टार्टअप्स की, स्टार्टअप में इंडियन ऑयल वो सारे एग्जेम्पशन आपको देता है जैसे कि टर्नओवर की जरूरत नहीं है, देन आपको कोई एक्सपीरियंस की जरूरत नहीं है, आप हमारी इंडियन ऑयल की साइट से या जेम साइट से डायरेक्टली टेंडर देख सकते हो, तो फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट है। और अगर कोई भी दूसरी इंफॉर्मेशन की जरूरत होगी तो मैं अपने नंबर शेयर करूंगा फ्यूचर में। थैंक यू।
Thank you so much, sir, for winding it up so quickly. I would just conclude this session in 30 seconds by handing over the mic to Chaudhary, sir. But before that, I hope all of you have registered for MSME, NSIC registration and Startup India. That's what I would say. And over to you, Chaudhary, sir, for the closing remarks.
Thank you. I will add whatever I have spoken earlier, and many things has been explained, that there are so many promotional policies by the government for MSME, for startups. I will say one example. One startup came with to us that, sir, you are wasting so much of time for taking the runner of the turbine and repairing it. So I will provide you the bolted runner. So bolted runner, you can just remove the particular part of the runner and then you can repair it quickly and fix it. So out of our R&D fund, so every organization, so I will inform the all startups that every organization is mandated to spend 2% of their profit in innovation, R&D works, research and development works, innovation works, technological advancement works related to their business area. So whatever the business area ours is, so out of our profit 2% we can spend on the such innovation and R&D. So it is a good opportunity for the startups to use those funds to approach the industry, approach the organizations that please see, we want to help you in your business area like this. We want to increase your efficiency. We want to increase your productivity of your business, and with such innovations or with such technological advancements. So
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you everyone for being a patient listener. Thanks a lot, everyone on the panel, for being here and taking our time. Thanks a lot once again. Bye-bye.
Hi, I am Karthik. I am a junior scientist at Popex Private Limited. We have a company at IDA Uppal and a team of 70 plus people. We are developing a thermostable vaccine which can be stored at 2 to 8 degrees. Usually normal vaccines have to be stored as -20 to -30 degrees Celsius. But with our Gate Foundation's support, we are using newly developed lipids and formations to store it at 2 to 8 degrees also. Our team is specialized in molecular biology, RNA formation and lipid synthesis. We are working together to fight off all the infectious diseases. So our COVID-19 and influenza vaccine design proof of concept is going to human clinical trials at this year end. We are supported by US NIH to make it possible in the US market also. Soon we will enter into Indian market with the support of all the people. Now we are at the Startup Conclave Hyderabad 2025. It is a 2-day event and I have met many people who are coming here to learn, collaborate and suggest new things. We are feeling very happy to be part of this ecosystem to learn and work together. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.
In this session, we explore how the next wave of startups is emerging from regions beyond the metros, driven by visionary policymakers and local initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have on stage the moderator, Ms. Shraddha Sharma, founder and CEO, Your Story, and our esteemed panelist, Dr. Ekroop Kaur, Secretary to Government, Department of Electronics, IT, Biotechnology and Science and Technology, Government of Karnataka, Shri Anurag Yadav, Principal Secretary, NEIT Electronics, Government of Uttar Pradesh, and Shri Adi Bharat, Joint Commissioner of Industries, Government of Gujarat.
Can you tell us, for entrepreneurs, what are some of the programs that the state is running?
Very good evening to everyone. Pleasure to be here and pleasure to be talking to you, Shraddha. So Bangalore, as you all know, is the startup capital, not just for the country, but it is one of the largest technology hubs in the world. We are looking at, we are the 4th largest technology cluster with more than 18,000 startups and more than 50 unicorns. So in that sense, Bangalore it has a thriving ecosystem. And we are very, very passionate about our startup ecosystem. Over the years, state has been systematically investing and supporting the startup ecosystem. So the approach which has been taken has been pretty much a life cycle approach, right from the idea stage, idea to POC, then supporting the journey, then accelerating, commercialization, giving global connections and global acceleration. State government has been supporting this all the way through. I don't want to, name all the schemes that we have rolled out. For those of you who are in this segment, in this ecosystem, would already know of the schemes that the government is running. But I thought something interesting that I must flag at this, occasion. Government has very recently, in its budget that was presented in March, announced a very, very big program for startups. We are looking at creating 10,000 new startups across Karnataka. And this would be all beyond Bangalore, not in Bangalore, but in all the emerging clusters. So we are looking at 6 clusters within the state, of which 3 are already somewhat, at a fairly mature level, and other 3 are coming up very well. And we are going to do a very, very deep dive into building the ecosystem. So now we have taken a decision to start with very young people. Right from high school, we are engaging with students. Then we have structured programs at college level where we are trying to support student projects, because we feel that these student projects actually are the bedrock, and from there the ideas will stem, which will eventually culminate into startups. We are focusing very heavily on IP creation, and I think that's where today India has to come of age, and we need to have more IPs happening which can be recognized and can be associated with India, rather Bharat, I would say. And this entire initiative that we are taking is going to really support it. While we will be giving a lot of financial incentives, we are also looking at building the ecosystem in these smaller towns, so to say, emerging clusters. We have set up certain centers of excellence. We are looking at setting up another 8 to 10 centers of excellence. We are looking at setting up TBIs. We are looking at setting up innovation labs. So very, very exciting times, I should say. All in all, there is lots happening in this space, and I think still this is the beginning of the journey. A lot more is yet to come, and I think all of you, if you divide the audience, you do fall into the 3 buckets that Shraddha mentioned, and probably this is the best time to be in this domain, to have your own startup, to build your own idea. And all states and even the government of India, everybody is out there to support your journey. So stay confident and, really give it your best shot is what I would like to say.
Thank you, ma'am. I have one very quick question. I know you have to leave. So if it's all right, I'll ask another question. Is for people who are not in the state, I might be in Delhi, I might be in any, I will not say UP and Gujarat right now, but in any other place, can I go to Karnataka and avail all these offers that you have?
Yeah, so some programs, yes, you can be a part of it even while you are not registered with the state. But once you register with the state, Karnataka startup, the world will certainly change. There will be a plethora of opportunities, and a lot of it is obviously for startups which are registered with Karnataka. And believe me, startups from all over the country, and it is not like it's a state-run thing and only for people from the state. Everybody from the we have people from all over the country who are coming because the kind of ecosystem support that you get over there is something which is, as on date, fairly unmatched. I don't think, the maturity of the ecosystem, and especially once you start, probably the scale up and the acceleration could be much better once you get that ecosystem support. Plus, with the presence of a large number of academic institutions and the kind of centers of excellence which have been set up by the state government in collaboration with the academic institutions, especially ones with the IISc, with IIM, and then IIT, IIT Dharwad. Those are places which are really, giving world-class mentoring facility, world-class academic support, and that is what becomes the differentiator beyond a certain level. But yes, we are open, and in fact, we run a similar event in Bangalore called the Bangalore Tech Summit. We have seen in the last couple of years the participation from other states. In fact, we very proactively reach out to all startup clusters across the country, and we have all the states participating over there. We are willing to provide whatever support we can to build this ecosystem across the country. So
लास्ट क्वेश्चन, पते की बात पूछना है मुझे कि पैसा कितना मिलेगा, like what is the, because as startups, as people in this space, we are looking always for funding, grants. So
one of our flagship programs is Elevate, where startups, idea to POC stage startups, they participate. Every year we select 100 startups and we give a grant of up to 50 lakhs. It is no strings attached grant. There is no equity, no share, and nothing that the state asks for.
And you can clap for that because it's a great innovative program without equity. It's a big thing.
So we have supported close to 1150 startups till now, and some of the startups are, they have reached that level where they have market valuation of 500 crores and stuff. Really, those startups are doing very, very well. I would not take names, but many of them have been very successful. Besides, we were one of the first states way back, almost 15-20 years back, when we set up a VC fund. When the VC ecosystem, private VC ecosystem was not as vibrant and strong, we set up a state-led VC fund. We still continue with that VC fund. It is, so every round it is specific to certain domain. Right now we are running a deep tech fund, we are running a fund for the AVGC sector. So some very niche areas we are trying to develop. Going forward, this new program that we have announced, which is Local Economy Accelerator Program, we are looking at setting another Elevate-like program for deep tech, and we are also looking at setting up a fund of funds. And besides all of this, what the government is doing, the private VC ecosystem in Karnataka is very mature. We have more than 200 VCs which are operating out of Karnataka. And the kind of money that has been raised, the investments which have been raised by startups, they are truly, truly inspiring. And I think money is not really the barrier at all. If you have a good idea and if you are, committed to it, and the team sees that you will be able to see it through, I don't think money is a big challenge.
Thank you so much, ma'am. As always, Karnataka has hit it out of the park. So with that, sir, Anurag sir, हम यूपी पे पहुंचते हैं. हम स्टार्टअप महाकुंभ में हैं और अभी महाकुंभ बहुत ही शानदार महाकुंभ has got over in UP. Tell us what the state is doing for startups, for the innovation. उसके बारे में हमें बताइए. और पैसे भी कितने हैं वो भी हम पूछेंगे. हाँ. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Let's give a big round of applause to Ekroop, ma'am. And please get in touch with her. Very approachable and always responding and helping startups. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
I'm sorry I have to leave in between. I have a hard stop. But nonetheless, it was really nice interacting. And as Shraddha mentioned, we would be very happy to interact with any one of you who would like to, explore what are the opportunities in Karnataka. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Mahakumbh and what's the strength of being in UP? So, एक question मैं भी पूछना चाहता था सबसे. So just think for a moment. I usually ask when I am at this stage. UP is not a state but a country. So in world, what would be its rank when you look at country's population size? Anyone? Any guess? Okay. What would be its rank? 10th? नहीं, यूपी वाले नहीं हो. 6th, okay. Quite close. 4. Almost close, yes. I mean, अगर इंडिया कंट्री के रूप में ना काउंट करो तो 3rd maybe 3rd or 4th. It varies. So that's a size. I mean, you think of that on this entire atlas or globe or whatever you can visualize, and then think that UP is the 3rd or 4th largest country. Now, can any innovation be worth sustaining if it's not happening in UP? There comes the strength of being in UP, and why UP's startup ecosystem is important, worth to focus on and to discuss, and that is what Mahakumbh probably symbolizes. Now, how do you attempt? I mean, that's one way of so being big has its potential and its challenges as well, and when it comes to synchronizing it with the startup ecosystem, so the difference definitely is challengeable, because with size you can't move as fast as you expect to move. I mean, it's a very simple natural phenomena. So you need to gather a lot of momentum, a lot of I would say potential has to be generated before you get up to that acceleration. Probably UP is at that stage, I would say, where we have gathered the momentum, but it is yet to come to that speed where probably we just had ma'am from Bangalore. So I would say we are not yet at the stage where Bangalore is, obviously, but we do need to see how our tier 2, tier 3 or other cities, if we are looking in terms of Mahakumbh of Bharat, then how every city can become a Bangalore, we need to see. So what state government is doing? How we are focusing in, how we are creating this speed. Now, so much of contextual introduction. Coming to the real brass tacks, there are two major, I would say, interventions which you can see. One is directly where we nurture the startup right from what we use the word seed capital up to their market. So there are different schemes which state government has where it promotes startups right from incubation up to how they can go up to the product commercialization. And then once you have reached to that stage, we have another scheme which is, I would probably say very few states have, a startup fund which is of 1,000 crore corpus run by SIDBI, where there is no limit depending upon your idea and how you can get your investment valued. So that's there. Now comes the second tier of intervention, which is related to creating the ecosystem. So there are few things which has happened in past few years. When you look at the startups, what is the challenge? Challenge is accessibility. So if you are in tier 2, tier 3 cities, like most of the UP cities are, and if you think about reaching to them, how do you access their product, or how they access global market or big market? So that's how do you create that bridge. The second challenge is people believe there is a lack of talent in these smaller towns, and it has been rightly so. A few years ago, we always found that people are running towards metros, and most of the metros having the infrastructure. So the state government has focused on creating infrastructure, enabling infrastructure, whatever you can think of, whether it is power, whether it is road network in terms of expressways. So UP is probably, people say that if you Google expressway state, the name will come UP. And the day we complete Ganga expressway, it would have 50% of the entire country's expressway. So we had airports, there were only 3 or 4 about few years ago, and now we have 16 airports functioning. So whether it is creating logistic hubs, whether it is creating road network, whether it is creating tech infrastructure, so which is very important. If you look at how much digital payments are taking place, again the numbers, so we score on the numbers. So you will find that most of the digital payments are happening in UP. So digital ecosystem is there. To summarize, not only having direct benefit schemes for startups, but also creating indirectly an ecosystem. We are trying to see that this title of Mahakumbh for UP can sustain. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. I am from Bihar. तो मुझे लगता है बिहार और यूपी जो बगल में है, it is always very encouraging, and UP seeing the progress, because now one is going and the change is very palpable on ground. We were in Lucknow, Kanpur, Prayagraj, मतलब पूरी दुनिया ही. And I don't know if you guys know that Steve Jobs' ex-wife came to Mahakumbh, right? So UP is, the way it is changing is of course very commendable, but what is encouraging today to hear is that a lot is being done for startups under your leadership. Yes? Sir, पैसा कितना मिल रहा है?
Okay.
आप number नहीं बताए.
I'll give you. If you are asking, a very simple, so there are different stages. You are a college student, and you have some ideas and you want to work. So how we nurture? So the first stage is where you create incubators. So we have incubators in every district where you can get yourself registered as a college student or just having a basic idea on you are nurturing. And we give you sustainability allowance, which is if you are in a, I would say, tier 2, tier 3 city, it's much higher given your challenges, but otherwise roughly around 20,000 per month you get while you are a student and you just have an idea trying to work on that. Then comes a stage where you require some seed capital. So when it comes to seed capital, on different stages of your evaluation of the idea, you again, if you are, you have an advantage if you are a women in UP. So you get more money being a women-led startup, and otherwise roughly around 7.5 lakhs to 11 lakhs is the range where you get as a seed capital, where you develop your idea and you are yet to commercialize this. If you have a prototype, you get a grant of 5 lakhs to make that validated. All your certifications get subsidized or reimbursed. And once that is done, then you get a marketing incentive So some support for initial marketing where you are still trying to get some investments for that. Then comes that stage where if you have crossed all these stages and you want actually some valuation for your product which you have developed, or want to make, let's say, a factory or some more bigger investments, then you can approach through SIDBI for our UP Startup Fund, which is a corpus big enough depending upon, so there are certain startups in the state which has got huge funding. There is no limit for that funding depending upon how you have been evaluated by those AIFs. But there is a dedicated fund from the UP for the UP's startup. And there are other infrastructure support. For example, we have many centers where STPI supports us with its office locations where you need not pay anything. You have all the design centers facilities where you can get your prototype designed without paying any cost. So I would say that we have the infrastructure to support you if you have an idea.
Sir, you said unlimited funding, तो हम सब यूपी आ रहे हैं, but हम आए कैसे? But tell us, how do we access?
Okay. So the best way to do is all the incubation centers are set up with the education institution. So if you are working on some ideas, it's better to get through whatever education institutions, every district. For example, all over, there are 2 IITs in UP. There is a triple IIT, there is an IIM if you are looking for the big names. But otherwise also, if you go to a tier 2, tier 3 district, you will find, if you just go to our website, it has all our incubators listed there. And you just contact them. They would definitely help you to incubate your, depending upon what kind of ideas you have and what support system you are looking at. Once you are with them, you get all the support system.
Thank you, Anurag sir. Sir, let's hear from Gujarat.
As far as startup is concerned, Gujarat formally came out in 2015 with a specific scheme from the Industries Department. But as you are all knowing, Gujarat is an entrepreneurial state from the time immemorial. We had trades. We have 1600 kilometers of long coastline. So we had trades with all foreign countries through the ships in those days also. So, and over a period of time, the Gujarat has a stronghold of manufacturing. Unlike other states where more of services and technology things are there, Gujarat is a stronghold of manufacturing. Now, in 2015, when our Honorable Prime Minister was CM before that of Gujarat, he had floated an idea of formally sponsoring students and people, even they may be students, they may be dropouts, they may be graduates. Having any idea in their mind, that idea has to be nurtured and has to be realized in a full-fledged product. So that idea, after he went to center, the Gujarat government was inspired by that idea, and we floated a scheme wherein we provide various benefits. I'll answer to your another question of Paisa a little later. But then, apart from that, as DPIIT has mandated that every district of every state has to have at least one startup in every district. That is one of the mandates. But we in Gujarat also, through our scheme, through our policy, we have created a network of institutes which are recognized by us through the medium of scheme. Money will be routed through those institutes. So those institutes, more of them or most of them are graduate level, university level schools and colleges, and so that every district has been covered. Every beyond metro is also covered in that. So obviously, As far as state is concerned, all our tier 2, tier 3 cities, if you take example of Rajkot, which is again T2 or T3, way back, they are manufacturing for automobile manufacturer world around, I mean around the world. No car manufacturing company in the world will be such that it will not be having some part made from Rajkot. And their products are also going to space. They are, I mean, manufacturing for spaceships also. So that is the Gujarat story. I'll answer your paisa question also. When you were asking this question, something came to my mind. There is a joke wherein a company was interviewing CAs, chartered accountants, for their company's work. So the question was, how much is 2 plus 2? So the straightforward candidates, or non-Gujarati candidates said 2 plus 2 is 4. Now the Gujarati came, so he was asked the same question. तो बोला कि 2 plus 2 is what? He said that कितना चाहिए, कितना करना है. So पैसे की बात आएगी तो आप मेरे को अगर पूछ रहे हैं कि कितने पैसे मिलते हैं, मैं बोलूँगा आपको कितने चाहिए. And to be specific, we start with students policy, SSIP, wherein we provide up to 2 lakh rupees for students coming out with ideas, very nascent stage startups. Above that, we have a Srujan scheme where we provide 10 lakh rupees to the students. Now, above that, when it comes to our industries department's scheme, we provide 30 lakh rupees, up to 30 lakh rupees as seed fund. Apart from other benefits like attending acceleration program, they will get 3 lakh rupees. Now, above that, 30 lakh se jada, we have I'll tell you the 360-degree approach of the state government. Above 30 lakh, there is ticket size 50 lakh, 3 crores. So we have venture funds. GVFL is a company, government partnered company. So GVFL will provide you, I mean, it could be in the form of equity, it could be in the form of debt. So there is no limit to that. So that is how.
सर बहुत चाहिए. मतलब अभी हम सबको तो लग रहा है गुजरात चले. No, but thank you so much. Thank you to all of you. Sanjay, do you want to add anything, because we've run out of time?
I think Secretary has already covered. Only one thing which is also element is that any government procurement that we do give a preference to the startups who are there in Karnataka. So we have a very specific program for startups which is there. And I think there is a democratization of entrepreneurship का जो concept है श्रद्धा जी, वो पूरा मॉडल जो है thankfully कर्नाटका से निकल के बाहर आया है, और वो अब एक बाकी
प्रतिष्ठा में जा रहा है. यहाँ पे माइक में कंपटीशन हमें करना चाहिए था, एक डिबेट होना था. इट्स नॉट कंपटीशन, ये सब शेयरिंग है, शेयरिंग ऑफ नॉलेज ही है. लेकिन डेमोक्राटाइजेशन ऑफ एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप से ही वी कैन उम्मीद कर सकते हैं कि जो भारत का एंटरप्रेन्योर्स है वो बाहर निकल के आएगा. आई थिंक सारे प्रदेश जो है वो उसमें दिशा में काम कर रहे हैं, हम उसको थोड़ा सा और डीपर लेवल में काम कर रहे हैं, मैं नहीं कह सकते. यस, लास्ट एक लाइन में, या तो एक शब्द में या एक लाइन में, एक सेंटेंस में, व्हाट डज इट मीन टुडे टू बी इन भारत एंड बीइंग अ भारतीय, बीइंग एन इंडियन, फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू? Because you guys are driving the startup story, Bharat story. What does it mean? Gujarat से शुरू करेंगे अभी.
I think being in Bharat today is a way forward or a path towards being Vishwaguru. That is in one sentence.
Yes. I think he summarized, but I mean, you asked one word and the first word came to my mind was hope.
Hope. Yes, yes. Very
this country
hopeful.
has that potential and hope we are going to be.
Yes, yes. Brilliant.
हमारे यहाँ पे नॉर्थ स्टार की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका है.
हाँ.
राइट, मुझे लगता है कि भारत एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप का वो वर्ल्ड में नॉर्थ स्टार बन के दिखाएगा.
Very good. Thank you so much, and with that, let's give a big round of applause to all our state leaders, Gujarat, UP, and Karnataka. Thank you so much.
informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.
Thank you once again for this robust and insightful session, and moving on to the next one, where we deep dive into the financial strategies that propel startups to new heights. From innovative funding models to growth-centric investments, this discussion is going to be all about unlocking the potential of Bharat's entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Absolutely. Moderated.
It's going to be moderated by Ms. Soumya Suryanarayanan, an influential voice in impact investing.
Thank you so much. Very excited to be here. I think we have one of the biggest panels, but number of panelists, but it's going to be the most exciting discussion on one of the most critical yet overlooked aspects of India's startup story, right? Financing growth beyond our metros in what we call Bharat, the tier 2, 3 towns and rural hinterlands that hold immense potential, entrepreneurial potential. While urban startups dominate our headlines today, as you know, 65% of India's population depend on rural economies, where agri-tech, farmer entrepreneurship and food supply chain are transforming lives. Yet, access to capital continues to remain the biggest barrier. But change is brewing. Innovative models are coming up. You have impact investing, revenue-based financing, blended finance, and corporate partnerships are emerging. And today we have a stellar panel of leaders who are at the forefront of this transformation. I would like to start with Dr. Ajay K. Sood, who's the Deputy Managing Director of NABARD, and he brings decades of experience in rural and agricultural financing. So NABARD has played a pivotal role in rural development, sir. How can agri-tech, rural fintech and other Bharat-focused startups better leverage NABARD's schemes and funding mechanisms?
So thank you so much. So first of all, let us recognize that Bharat or rural India is really facing distress. Agriculture is the only sector in India which has been bereft of reforms in one way or the other. Since 1991, when liberalization took place, reforms took place, agriculture by and large has been left out of it. And there are many issues in agriculture or rural areas like logistical issues, issues of remunerative prices to the rural people in various capacities, which are affecting the rural population. And on a bigger macro front, if India has to achieve its Viksit Bharat dream, then the rural areas have to develop. I mean, there is no alternative left. That is one thing. And to solve all the problems of the rural areas, I think the rural fintech, agri-tech is the solution. So NABARD has been associated with nurturing these enterprises one way or the other. One of the initiatives that we have taken is the rural business incubation centers with the various institutions, including the agricultural universities in various parts of the country. 10 such rural business incubation centers we have established throughout the countries, where the entrepreneurs who have ideas for solving these problems, they can come incubate their ideas. They are providing the entire ecosystem there. And it is not only the ecosystem in terms of incubation, but in terms of providing seed capital. Seed capital is also available. And for those rural techs which have some prototype available with them, then funding is also available from our catalytic capital fund. Apart from this, we have NAB Ventures, NABARD Venture, which is running various funds, apart from the Government of India Fund of Agri-Sure Fund, where also direct funding is available, as well as the Fund of Funds scheme is also there, where investment through alternative investment fund is also available. Number two, there are many social capital available in the country in the form of producer organizations or self-help groups, which are having a lot of ideas for solving the problems of rural areas. So these rural techs, agri-techs, they can connect with them. So we know in rural areas, one of the important thing is trust deficit. If we are not able to connect with the people, trust is the basic factor which lacks. If you are missing that trust, then whatever ideas you have, it is not going to be successful. So if you are having an idea, I think moving through these organizations is something which is very, very important.
That's great, sir. Thank you so much for explaining that. I would like to move on to Mr. Vikas Bali now. He's the CEO of Intellicap and leads a firm that has advised and invested in inclusive businesses for over 2 decades now. And his work in designing sustainable financing models for Bharat's entrepreneurs is unparalleled. So Intellicap advises on inclusive business models. Vikas, how can startups in Bharat design unit economics that attract both impact investors as well as commercial capital?
Thank you, Soumya, for that wonderful question. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I answer an even better question, which is, what should startups do? Should they be chasing the investors, or should they be chasing market, demand, and pricing their products and services in accordance with the affordability, accessibility, and reaching of those costs to serve, reaching those customers? And that's really the more important question. हिंदी में एक saying है, आप जिस चीज के पीछे भागोगे उतनी आगे भागेगी. Investor is also that same commodity. All the entrepreneurs who are chasing investors, good thing to do. The better thing is they chase you. And they're going to chase you if your business models are great and at scale you can demonstrate you will make lots of money, including in the rural areas. As I said, awareness, accessibility, affordability are absolutely key issues in addressing the last mile in the rural areas. We were working with a very large institution, tens of thousands of crores, who wanted to reach rural Bharat. And we made them tie up with a microfinance institution to sell their products and services. I'm talking about a company which is a transnational, which has tens of thousands of crores of rupees in India. But for reaching the last mile, they had to piggyback on a microfinance institution. And the model was successful that it was scaled to other countries. So the point that I'm making is be very, very innovative, be very, very flexible. Like large companies need innovations, innovators need to piggyback on large companies in order to establish their business models. Another point is about affordability. You cannot design products and services for Bharat the way you do for India. Many of you would remember the sachayization of the shampoo. Think about how you can sachaize your products and services when you are addressing rural Bharat. Learn to build trust. Sample your product, build trust, and that's when you'll be able to really help scale up your volumes in rural Bharat. So, apologies for changing your question.
No, thanks, because that was extremely insightful, and I hope startups in this room are listening to this. Now, moving on to the Bharat entrepreneur, we have Kishore here, Kishore Jha, who's the CEO of Argos, a pioneering agri-tech platform. Kishore has been enabling small farmers and rural businesses through grain banking and digital credit solutions, a perfect example of fintech bridging Bharat's financing gap. So, you work very closely with farmers and agri entrepreneurs. What is the biggest financing challenges for agri startups, and how can fintech solutions like yours, help? Or how are you helping farmers?
Hello. Yeah. So thanks, Soumya. So as Ajay sir said that trust is one of the biggest factor, and that's why the lending community always maintain distance from this Bharat customer. But we at Argos, we run a grain bank model, which have almost cracked the secret of this, that speed is very critical in this business. When farmer need to, buy input tomorrow morning for sowing, the land is ready. He cannot wait for 10 days or 15 days. If he needs to do the irrigation tomorrow morning, he has to do it. So the speed is very critical. The ticket size is very critical, where 20,000, 30,000 rupees is required. If the lending, the company is able to disburse that much amount within few hours, that's the key. If you can, facilitate that ticket within timeline and the repayment from the farmer, where you have a visibility of the farmer's income. These are all things possible if you use technology for the last mile to capture their income details and integrate lender and the borrower in a secured manner. So there the Argos has solved it And we are running this company for last 13 years, and successfully we have, created a fantastic ecosystem for the lenders on our platform, where the farmers have been able to repay every penny on time, zero delinquency, very proudly say. And that is possible because we run at farm gate. We do the transaction. Through that, we demonstrate that how to build trust. And there is no any other way to build trust than to demonstrate what you commit, what you deliver. So that's how we have experienced that in agri-tech, in India, if we need to build any value, we have to go to the last mile, bring last mile people in the mainstream, enable them to learn technology, to avail finance, to sell their grain, to sell their produce on their own. No intermediaries, no middleman, no third person. Because today we are operating at more than 5,000 villages, and we have seen every farmer have smartphone. Every farmer have a smartphone. Whether they are using feature phone for their own, the daily purposes, but in every house there is a one smartphone, and that can be used for transaction, build transparency, speed and trust. So that's where, the Ergos is able to create value for them.
And you operate in Bihar.
Yeah, we started from Bihar, and we are now operating in Karnataka and Maharashtra, and we have seen that adoption level, the challenges is almost similar across the country.
Thank you, Kishore, for that. The key takeaway for me is trust, building trust, and, operating with speed and efficiency. I would like to come to Srinivas right now. He's the CEO of Willgrow, one of India's largest impact incubators. Srinivas has nurtured hundreds of startups solving problems in healthcare, agri, and energy for low-income communities. So Willgrow's model proves that innovation thrives beyond metros. So Willgrow has nurtured many startups, both rural and semi-urban. So how have you tailored your programs to address the unique challenges faced by Bharat entrepreneurs?
Thank you, Soumya. I think just the way you introduced us speaks a lot. For starters, the way the expectations we have from the companies that we work with is quite different from probably what you heard. So number one, if we find founders sitting in office most of the time, then we have a problem. If you're not in the field, if you don't know your customer, and if you're talking about Bharat here, small towns and villages, then your time should be with them, not sitting in office making a fancy deck. Right? So the second piece that we have an expectation is in and out of your product, in and out of your customer. So those two things that we tailored in our expectations of founders. But it also means the way we work has changed. So internally we have quite a large team, and most of them are experts. And one of them is sitting right here, Shivang. Maybe you should meet him. But the team knows in and out of the subject. They do not expect 3-year projections. They do not expect some crazy growth from you. They know that your business is going to grow at a much slower pace. You're likely to be profitable. So we are prioritizing profit. We are prioritizing product fit rather than valuation. Yeah, and most likely, many of these Bharat entrepreneurs are not going to be raising valuation, equity. That's fine. Because if what India and Bharat need are good businessmen and businesswomen, not some crazy valuation which mean nothing, but apart from something on paper.
Thank you, Srinivas, for that. From Srinivas, I'm going to move to Rajat. He's the president of the Indian Venture and Alternative Capital Association and has been instrumental in shaping policies and mobilizing capital for startups across India, including Bharat. So from an investor lens, what are the key risks and rewards of backing startups in Bharat? So Srinivas said you shouldn't focus on valuation, but would love to hear from you on how VCs and PEs can adapt their strategies to better support these ventures.
Thank you, Soumya. And like all investors do, listen up to what the startups are saying and then make your own decision. And by the way, don't get scared with what Vikas was saying. If you're a good startup, the investor will run behind you. You don't have to run behind the investor. So certainly. So the situation, what we look at in India right now, in the last decade, about $430 billion, which is about 35 lakh crores, has been invested into this ecosystem.
only 10% or probably less than 10% has been invested into tier 2 and tier 3, right? But there is an investment which is still going on. Swami, you mentioned something on a risk and a reward, right? Frankly, if there's no risk, there's no reward, right? And that's what the investors are in the game. In a tier 1, what the investor is looking for is primary return, right? It's certainly there is risk, but then there is high return. In the tier 2 and tier 3, the approach is more about a developmental approach. So again, today the investor is wearing this hat and saying, I know. In terms of the advantages today of working out and investing into tier 2 and tier 3 cities, the cost of working out and investing into a startup which is running from a tier 2 or tier 3 city is nearly 30 to 40% much lesser. So clearly that's an advantage towards you, right? Again, it's an untapped market. Today, in the urban cities, we've solved the problem. We're still continuing to solve the same problem, right? Repeatedly. There is opportunity across, there are different ideations. There are different challenges in each of these tier 2, tier 3 cities, which makes it an opportunity for more innovation to be built and the investor to actually look at something, newer ideas as well. Coming on, so that really helps to build the portfolio diversification which the investor is looking at. Talent is far more affordable, right? Today, when I look at tier 2, tier 3 cities. Again, the angel networks today, which you used to see in the urban cities, now is migrating to the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So the angel networks, they are understanding what it is to invest into unlisted vis-a-vis the listed space, right? There are more returns to be made, there are more innovations to be backed, and there is a satisfaction which everybody desires. So clearly, I would say risk low, certainly the valuation risk will be there, but that happens anywhere. It takes time to develop a startup for it to move towards a higher valuation. Return may come in later, right? Opportunities are there, and that is what we need to look at. Even the government, when it starts to look at, some of the putting across money in sunrise sector. Now, these are sectors where typically a venture capitalist is not entering into, right? In the agri space, if I look at it, I mentioned that number, out of 50-60 billion which is invested every year, only $1 billion goes into agri space, which is very less. And that's where it's probably time to look at how we as domestic capital kind of boost it up, because today our capital, 85 to 90% is still international capital. Back to you, Soumya.
Thanks, Rajat, for that. I'm going to come to Dr. Sood now. So we've heard from investors, we've heard from incubators here. So how is NABARD collaborating with private investors, incubators to de-risk early ventures in semi-urban and rural areas?
So as I have already explained that there is a set of incubation centers, accelerators through which we associate with them, and then we have a lot of organizations working at the field level in terms of farmer producer organizations or farmer producer organizations through which we get hints and then we connect with them.
So if you can give some examples, that will be helpful as well.
Sorry, pardon?
If you can give some examples, that will be helpful as well.
For example, we have Madurai Agri-Business Center in Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, which is working. So startups, lot of startups, they can come there, they can work there, they can exchange ideas with each other. We can provide them with market connect, we can connect them with the people. We provide them with seed capital also. It's not only the incubation facility. Then in case they need funds to grow also, then also we have arrangements for that. We have, I told that catalytic capital fund is there, through which we can do it. But the major thing is that how to take it forward. That is upscaling is the major thing. So basically there is a need for creation of lot of incubation and acceleration center throughout the country, where lot of ideas are lying up. They are sleeping actually. So how to take them? So basically the need of the hour is that all of us should collaborate with each other. Development is such an area that individual entities cannot handle it. I mean, the venture capitalists are there, funders are there, developmental agencies are like us are there, Government of India schemes are there. So collaboration is the key word, I think, which will help this.
Thank you, Dr. Sood. Picking on your point on collaboration, I'm going to go to Vikas here. Vikas, how can corporate partnerships, CSR, strategic investments play a bigger role in financing Bharat's entrepreneurial ecosystem?
Great question. Water everywhere, not a drop to drink. Same concept as far as capital. The capital providers think it's there everywhere. The seekers of capital never find it. Blended finance is one such instrument which is becoming more and more popular in the imagination of people to target hitherto areas which do not access the classical commercial equity capital directly. And blended capital needs that underlying layer of security, be it in the form of a grant, be it in the form of a non-returnable or a returnable grant, be it in the form of a concessional debt, all of these kind of structures. The opportunity for us here is to see how CSR monies, the 2% profit number, can be funneled into providing that layer of security, that layer of guarantee in case things go wrong. And that is how we can find additional pools of capital to reach the models which are seeking to serve the Bharat. So collaboration needs to happen between CSR and between financiers who will put together the entire structure for the money to be invested into the entrepreneur.
Thank you, Vikas, for that. I'm going to come to Rajat actually. Rajat, how can industry bodies, like we're talking about collaboration here, how can industry bodies like IVCA encourage more institutional capital to flow into startups beyond urban India? And do you see any policy interventions or incentives that could accelerate the shift?
So again, in terms of, there are a lot of initiatives being done by the government, but primarily what we're looking at, one of the best ways to address this domestic pool of capital issue is by a fund-to-fund structures. We've seen various states trying to come up and promote this. We've had discussions with the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, we've had discussions with Ministry of Ayush, even Ministry of Defense is looking at how work can be done out of different states, right? So fund-to-fund structure is a good structure to have. And that is where a lot of domestic money can participate. And in the fund-of-fund structures, we're looking at just like you as an investor invest into a mutual fund, that you as a retail investor, however, if the government and the policies can come in together to put retail investments into fund-of-funds, which can further support certain good fund managers who can go back and deploy this money across with you, right? So that's one area where we've seen. You know, the DPIIT does a startup state ranking, so at least it builds a competition. You know, Niti Aayog is working towards initiatives where both global, that's FDI comes into different states, as well as skills and innovation gets developed by building incubation setups and universities. So some of these initiatives which will help build the pipeline, and further investments will definitely flow once the pipelines are coming in. Right now, the issue is good pipeline, and I think that's a responsibility all of us must take to enable. Even in the early stage, let's tell you that the seed stage funding, what people are saying, is it going down? It's not. It's gone up 1.2x. Out of the 1,024 deals which took place in India, 756 deals were in seed stage funding, which is a growth of 1.2x over last year. So, you know, money is there, focus is coming there. It only needs to build the right, correct solutions across. Samya, thanks.
Thank you, Rajat. And as Vikas said, water everywhere. I hope we get the drop to drink, all the startups here. So here, one last final question to all the panelists here. If you had to recommend one game-changing action to accelerate funding for Bharat startups, what would that be? Maybe Vikas, we can start with you and then...
I think Government of India needs to put together 1 lakh crore fund and take it forward from there.
Okay, thank you. Srinivas?
I think we have a completely different model for looking at risk. I think we are confusing risk models of urban India with those in Bharat. So the same challenges that we seem to think they behave the same way. The one thing is relook at risk models the way credit scoring is done.
Thank you. Kishore?
Yeah, my experience, I would say, pick up one problem in Bharat and hammer it, and prove it that you can build model around it profitably, so that you can prove it wrong to the world that yes, there is a profitability from the bottom of pyramid. You can make a lot of money, you can create a lot of wealth to the community.
Thank you.
So if you ask me to give one idea or one sector, so I would say in agriculture, if I say, absentee landlordism is one of the major issues. In some of the states, 30 to 40, 50% of the land is done by tenant farmers, which are not able to get access the formal finance because of lack of collaterals. So I think all the banking sector is struggling with that. How do we find the alternate data sources to finance these people? We are running one pilot project with the RBI Innovation Hub to finance these people, but this is on a very pilot stage, this is a very small scale. So we require the help of the startups for finding a solution to this. How do we digitize their cash flows? How do we find alternate data sources? If we are able to find a solution to this, I think the growth in rural areas can move manifold.
Thank you, Dr. Sood. Rajat?
My one word is domestic capital domestic investors should trust our own startups which are domestic. Let's not lose our IPRs. Let's keep them with us. Let's have more domestic money coming into play, which is extremely important. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this wonderful, one solution. While we had like 5 different solutions, or this has been like fantastic. Thank you so much to our panelists here. A big round of applause, please. Very, very divergent views from the panel. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Soumya. Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Kiran KK, Managing Director, Kashyap Energy Infrastructures Private Limited. We are based out of T-Hub in Hyderabad. Energy stands for environment and energy. So we are doing some cutting waste, both liquid and solids, and we also capture new water from wastewater. So essentially, we are addressing both the aspects of the water and energy. The energy we capture through anaerobic digestion of both industrial waste, industrial organic waste, industrial liquid waste, solid waste and liquid waste both put together. Our projects are already operating for last more than about 10 years. As you can see, we have made 2 megawatt capacity power plant from a palm oil mill wastewater called POME for the first time for the country of Malaysia, and this is operating very successfully. And we have also, our other project is about MSL Sugars Limited for their plant near Hyderabad, where we capture wastewater and convert it into completely reusable water. So that water is not only for plantation and floor washings and all that, but that water which is captured from the wastewater, we term it as new water, that is used to produce steam. We pass it, so the treatment is done to such an extent that the purity achieved is of steam quality. Yeah. And therefore, the pressure on the nearby water bodies to take the fresh raw water is reduced. And then we also have set up a full-scale plant for a marigold flower processing unit in Harihar, Karnataka, There again, we capture biogas as well as new water. And then as you could see, some of the sugar mills like Vijayanagar Sugar Mill, then we have Shiragopi Sugar Works. So these are the projects which we have been doing. And I'm very, very happy to have my colleagues also here. So the team is into design, detail engineering, and turnkey contracts. Yeah. So today we are very happy to be here in the Startup Conclave, which is jointly organized by IICT, CCMB, and NGRI. Yeah. Thank you very much.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.
Sharma just said पैसा सब कुछ है and पैसे के लिए finances and finances के लिए fintech. That's where I'd like to segue, because we cannot talk about startups or innovation or making money or making, something as small as just a QR card payment, for a coffee in the morning without talking about fintech. So,
as Mr. Kant mentioned in the morning, I mean, now it has become so easy. You talk about insurance, you talk about online payments. Within just 30 seconds, 1 minute, you can probably just make any transaction throughout the world.
Absolutely.
And in India, the kind of the technology that we are watching, I think we have a long way to go.
Trust product, but I think Sachin, you've spoken about technology. So what are you focusing on over the next 5 years, 5-6 years?
So the next 5 to 6 years are going to look very different from the last 20 years. I think one big thing that is coming to all of us is AI, and how we use that to...
Do you want to give one example of how AI has changed Navi over the past year?
Yeah, I think there are a few examples of that. I think most of our customer support is automated through GenAI. In a lot of other operational areas, quality control, etc., there is a lot of usage of AI. I see people every day answering questions through AI. I mean, getting answers to questions through AI. Like, for example, if you wanted to know what are the trends of payments ecosystem trending in Brazil over the last 10 years, so that you can take some decisions based on that in India, and that's an important input to your decision making here. Earlier, it was impossible to find that. I mean, or very hard. You have to spend hours, or you have to commission a study. Now you can do research like that and get a decent quality answer without doing all of that work. Apart from that, I think coding, software engineering is going to get automated quite significantly. That's a big kind of tsunami, I think, that is coming to all of us. I mean, close to 25-30% of our code is already automated. But yeah, over time, I think it will be
quite real. I think. I think it's across the board. But I think, Alok, one follow up on what you mentioned about customers, Indian customers and their behavior with insurance. I think all of us are also suspects and victims of that. But how does an Indian customer really look at insurance? Because I think because there is trust, there is also this delayed gratification with insurance, right? Because you don't really know you need insurance unless you really come across that situation. So how does one really actually buy insurance? What is that journey like, and how will that evolve? Because more and more people are getting educated, more and more people are getting aware. But why is that penetration not going up, even though there is awareness today?
So two parts. I think one, the product itself is very unique, as you rightly said. No instant gratification. It is forcing you to spend 1 hour thinking about what can go wrong in your life. Right. And somewhere we all think that जो होगा किसी और को होगा, मुझे नहीं होगा, मैं तो healthy हूँ, मैं तो ठीक हूँ. Especially at a young age, you don't really worry too much about those things unless you see someone in your vicinity, कोई friend, family, colleague going through some bad experience, and suddenly it strikes, here is important hai. Now, luckily, whenever that person is thinking it's important, they come to us. So I can hand on heart say 100% of the people in India, when they think they have to buy insurance, will come to Policybazaar on their own. But this is something they'll forget after 3-4 weeks again. वो 3-4 हफ्ते ही होते हैं जिसमें आदमी के दिमाग में रहता है, and he wants to buy at that time. And that's the time transaction can happen or cannot happen. So you do whatever you have to do. The biggest challenge today, if we look at just the middle class India, which arguably is about 8 to 10 crore households, or maybe 35 to 40 crore individuals. the penetration for term insurance is about 6% in household terms, and in life terms, health is maybe about 10% or 12%. So why other people are not buying? Because, as I said, one lot of time awareness है कि लेने की जरूरत है. ये awareness है तो आदमी कहते हैं claim तो मिलेगा नहीं, मिलेगा तो बहुत painful तरीके से मिलेगा. So if you don't have the trust in the claim process, why should you put money today? तो वो जब तक सॉल्व नहीं करेगी इंडस्ट्री तब तक कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. बट यू नो, जस्ट लाइक टू ऐड टू व्हाट सचिन वाज आल्सो सेइंग अबाउट एआई. देखो, हम सब जितने भी काम करेंगे ना किसी भी कंपनी में, कोई भी काम करोगे आप जिंदगी में, यू कैन ओनली इन्फ्लुएंस 3 थिंग्स इन एनी कंपनी. या तो रेवेन्यू बढ़ाओगे, या कॉस्ट कम करोगे, एफिशिएंसी लाओगे, या सर्विस अच्छी करोगे कस्टमर के लिए. इसके अलावा किसी का कोई काम होता नहीं कंपनी के अंदर. ये 3 ही काम होते हैं. एंड एआई विल हैव अ वेरी हाई इंपैक्ट ऑन द सर्विस ऑन डे 1. धीरे धीरे कॉस्ट एफिशिएंसी पे भी आ रहा है. रेवेन्यू इंपैक्ट अभी इतना नहीं आ पाया है, थोड़ा फ्रॉड कंट्रोल वगैरह आ रहा है फिनटेक में, बट रेवेन्यू साइड अभी दूर है. बट सर्विस विल गेट ऑटोमेटेड वेरी वेरी फास्ट. एफिशिएंसी विल स्टार्ट टू कम इन ऑल्सो नेक्स्ट 5 years इन अ बिग वे. तो कभी ना कभी रेवेन्यू भी आएगा.
Got it. So I think we have a minute. I'm only going to ask one question to all of you. Same question. I know all of you have had amazing these journeys. I think everybody kind of glorifies this journey, but I'm sure there have been tough times where people have supported you. So if all of you can name one person, or say, you know, anybody, close family, friend, whoever, who supported you during those tough times, I'm sure you'd want to kind of give them that visibility also. So if you want to take a few seconds and probably talk about anybody who's helped you during those tough times.
I call Ravi Adusumali, who's an Elevation Capital investor, as my co-founder, and I call him for the single reason that it truly is that I have true privilege of calling him as my friend, my board member, my shareholder, and the person I reach up to. So always, anytime, high time, low time, every time.
I think Jitendra believes in this, that you definitely need a co-founder. I've heard him say it multiple times. So who is it?
Yeah, so I have 2 people in my life who support me whenever I am in doubt. So one is my wife, of course.
Are you forced to say it?
No, not. But that's the reality. So, and the second person is Amrish, Pine Lab CEO. So we were co-founders in Citrus, and the journey was so good that we went through so much tough times during Citrus days. So generally the bonding tends to happen, and then we sort of understand the decision-making framework of each other. So it's easier to consult that way.
Right. Sachin?
Yeah, so I learned business very early in my life. Essentially, I come from a business family, and like not big businesses, small businesses based in Punjab, Chandigarh. And one of my uncles, who was my father's elder brother, he was a big influence on me. I think I learned about work ethic, integrity, and responsibility from him, which I think stayed with me for quite a bit. Of course, he's now no more, but his influence stays on in the whole family, actually, quite a bit.
Alok?
I think the first name I would like to say, actually, Yashish, my co-founder. Personally, we are chalk and cheese, very, very different personalities, very, very different outlook for everything that we do. But we are joined at the hip for 17 years, 18 years now. So it worked out very well for us. And outside of 2 of us, maybe then it's Sanjeev Bikchandani from InfoEdge. He was the first person to put in the check. And today also for a lot of things we reach out to him for advice, and we have learned a lot directly and indirectly both. Sometimes his actions have how he's built Naukri and how he's built the team and culture there as influencers. So yeah, these 2 people maybe.
So one final question, Sachin, Jiten, any plans of listing anytime soon, joining the other 2 stalwarts in the public markets?
At least for me personally, very far away. So I don't think so. I have any aspiration to come close to Vijay.
In public market, nobody is close or far.
So for us, we have reached a stage where actually we have like 20 million users monthly active, 40 million ever used on the platform. It's gone to a very decent stage. Now we are at a place where we can use more capital. And I think public markets is the best source of capital. That's what I believe. If you can handle the pain or what comes with it.
I think, so definitely the plan is to go FY26. Ideally, we would like to be IPO'd if we can.
So there we go. I think people at the back, I think they're all recording. So I think we're good to go. I think, thank you so much, everybody. Big round of applause for all the contributions.
Stay informed about the startup ecosystem. Subscribe to MyStartupTV.
So innovation isn't just confined to major cities. In this session, we explore how the next wave of startups is emerging from regions beyond the metros, driven by visionary policymakers and local initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have on stage the moderator, Ms. Shraddha Sharma, founder and CEO Your Story, and our esteemed panelist, Dr. Ekroop Kaur, Secretary to Government, Department of Electronics, IT, Biotechnology and Science and Technology, Government of Karnataka, Shri Anurag Yadav, Principal Secretary, NEIT Electronics, Government of Uttar Pradesh, and Shri Adi Bharat, Joint Commissioner of Industries, Government of Gujarat.
Can you tell us, for entrepreneurs, what are some of the programs that the state is running?
Very good evening to everyone. Pleasure to be here and pleasure to be talking to you, Shraddha. So Bangalore, as you all know, is the startup capital, not just for the country, but it is one of the largest technology hubs in the world. We are looking at, we are the 4th largest technology cluster with more than 18,000 startups and more than 50 unicorns. So in that sense, Bangalore it has a thriving ecosystem. And we are very, very passionate about our startup ecosystem. Over the years, state has been systematically investing and supporting the startup ecosystem. So the approach which has been taken has been pretty much a life cycle approach, right from the idea stage, idea to POC, then supporting the journey, then accelerating, commercialization, giving global connections and global acceleration. State government has been supporting this all the way through. I don't want to, name all the schemes that we have rolled out. For those of you who are in this segment, in this ecosystem, would already know of the schemes that the government is running. But I thought something interesting that I must flag at this, occasion. Government has very recently, in its budget that was presented in March, announced a very, very big program for startups. We are looking at creating 10,000 new startups across Karnataka. And this would be all beyond Bangalore, not in Bangalore, but in all the emerging clusters. So we are looking at 6 clusters within the state, of which 3 are already somewhat, at a fairly mature level, and other 3 are coming up very well. And we are going to do a very, very deep dive into building the ecosystem. So now we have taken a decision to start with very young people. Right from high school, we are engaging with students. Then we have structured programs at college level where we are trying to support student projects, because we feel that these student projects actually are the bedrock, and from there the ideas will stem, which will eventually culminate into startups. We are focusing very heavily on IP creation, and I think that's where today India has to come of age, and we need to have more IPs happening which can be recognized and can be associated with India, rather Bharat, I would say. And this entire initiative that we are taking is going to really support it. And while we will be giving a lot of financial incentives, we are also looking at building the ecosystem in these smaller towns, so to say, emerging clusters. We have set up certain centers of excellence. We are looking at setting up another 8 to 10 centers of excellence. We are looking at setting up TBIs. We are looking at setting up innovation labs. So very, very exciting times, I should say. All in all, there is lots happening in this space, and I think Still, this is the beginning of the journey. A lot more is yet to come. And I think all of you, I think if we divide the audience, you do fall into the 3 buckets that Shraddha mentioned. And probably this is the best time to be in this domain, to have your own startup, to build your own idea. And all states and even the government of India, everybody is out there to support your journey. So stay confident and, really give it your best shot is what I would like to say.
Thank you, ma'am. I have one very quick question. I know you have to leave. So if it's all right, I'll ask another question is, for people who are not in the state, I might be in Delhi, I might be in any, I will not say UP and Gujarat right now, but in any other place, can I go to Karnataka and avail all these offers that you have?
Yeah, so some programs, yes, you can be a part of it even while you are not registered with the state. But once you register with the state, Karnataka startup, the world will certainly change. There will be a plethora of opportunities, and a lot of it is obviously for startups which are registered with Karnataka. And believe me, startups from all over the country, and it is not like it's a state-run thing and only for people from the state. Everybody from the we have people from all over the country who are coming because the kind of ecosystem support that you get over there is something which is, as on date, fairly unmatched. I don't think, the maturity of the ecosystem, and especially once you start, probably the scale up and the acceleration could be much better once you get that ecosystem support. Plus, with the presence of a large number of academic institutions and the kind of centers of excellence which have been set up by the state government in collaboration with the academic institutions, especially ones with IISc, with IIM, and then IIT, IIT Dharwad. Those are places which are really, giving world-class mentoring facility, world-class academic support, and that is what becomes the differentiator beyond a certain level. But yes, we are open, and in fact, we run a similar event in Bangalore called the Bangalore Tech Summit. We have seen in the last couple of years the participation from other states. In fact, we very proactively reach out to all startup clusters across the country, and we have all the states participating over there. We are willing to provide whatever support we can to build this ecosystem across the country. So
लास्ट क्वेश्चन, पते की बात पूछना है मुझे कि पैसा कितना मिलेगा, like what is the, because as startups, as people in this space, we are looking always for funding, grants. So
one of our flagship programs is Elevate, where startups, idea to POC stage startups, they participate. Every year we select 100 startups and we give a grant of up to 50 lakhs. It is no strings attached grant. There is no equity, no share, and nothing that the state asks for.
And you can clap for that because it's a great innovative program without equity. It's a big thing.
So we have supported close to 1150 startups till now, and some of the startups are, they have reached that level where they have market valuation of 500 crores and stuff. Really, those startups are doing very, very well. I would not take names, but many of them have been very successful. Besides, we were one of the first states way back, almost 15-20 years back, when we set up a VC fund. When the VC ecosystem, private VC ecosystem was not as vibrant and strong, we set up a state-led VC fund. We still continue with that VC fund. It is, so every round it is specific to certain domain. Right now we are running a deep tech fund, we are running a fund for the AVGC sector. So some very niche areas we are trying to develop. Going forward, this new program that we have announced, which is Local Economy Accelerator Program, we are looking at setting another Elevate-like program for deep tech, and we are also looking at setting up a fund of funds. And besides all of this, what the government is doing, the private VC ecosystem in Karnataka is very mature. We have more than 200 VCs which are operating out of Karnataka. and the kind of money that has been raised, the investments which have been raised by startups, they are truly inspiring. And I think money is not really the barrier at all. If you have a good idea and if you are committed to it and the team sees that you will be able to see it through, I don't think money is a big challenge.
Thank you so much, ma'am. As always, Karnataka has hit it out of the park. So with that, sir, Anurag sir, हम यूपी पे पहुंचते हैं. हम स्टार्टअप महाकुंभ में हैं और अभी महाकुंभ बहुत ही शानदार महाकुंभ has got over in UP. Tell us what the state is doing for startups, for the innovation. उसके बारे में हमें बताइए. और पैसे भी कितने हैं वो भी हम पूछेंगे. हाँ. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Let's give a big round of applause to Ekroop, ma'am. And please get in touch with her. Very approachable and always responding and helping startups. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
I'm sorry I have to leave in between. I have a hard stop. But nonetheless, it was really nice interacting. And as Shraddha mentioned, we would be very happy to interact with any one of you who would like to, explore what are the opportunities in Karnataka. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Mahakumbh and what's the strength of being in UP? So, एक question मैं भी पूछना चाहता था सबसे. So just think for a moment. I usually ask when I am at this stage. UP is not a state but a country. So in world, what would be its rank when you look at country's population size? Anyone? Any guess? Okay. What would be its rank? 10th? नहीं, यूपी वाले नहीं हो. 6th, okay. Quite close. 4. Almost close, yes. I mean, अगर इंडिया कंट्री के रूप में न काउंट करो तो 3rd maybe 3rd or 4th. It varies. So that's a size. I mean, you think of that on this entire atlas or globe or whatever you can visualize, and then think that UP is the 3rd or 4th largest country. Now, can any innovation be worth sustaining if it's not happening in UP? There comes the strength of being in UP and why UP's startup ecosystem is important, worth to focus on and to discuss, and that is what Mahakumbh probably symbolizes. Now, how do you attempt? I mean, that's one way of so being big has its potential and its challenges as well. And when it comes to synchronizing it with the startup ecosystem, so the difference definitely is challengeable because with size you can't move as fast as you expect to move. I mean, it's a very simple natural phenomena. So you need to gather a lot of momentum, a lot of I would say potential has to be generated before you get up to that acceleration. Probably UP is at that stage, I would say, where we have gathered the momentum, but it is yet to come to that speed where probably we just had ma'am from Bangalore. So I would say we are not yet at the stage where Bangalore is, obviously, but we do need to see how our tier 2, tier 3 or other cities, if we are looking in terms of Mahakumbh of Bharat, then how every city can become a Bangalore, we need to see. So what the state government is doing, how we are focusing in, how we are creating this speed. Now so much of contextual introduction, coming to the real brass tacks. There are two major, I would say, interventions which you can see. One is directly where we nurture the startup right from what we use the word seed capital up to